Welcome aboard the AM show, and right after that Living Standard series, how about we settle for the news now? In our first story, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is asking critics of government to invest in reading and also seek explanations from government before it criticizes it. According to him, many of government's political opponents cast doubts on the viability of the Sino-Hydro projects when government initiated the move. Now, addressing the chiefs and people of Cape Coast at the commissioning of the Cape Coast inner city roads, Dr. Bawumia indicated government meant well and would continue with its year of roads to bring relief to the people of Ghana.
22 kilometers of roads, according to government, have been completed as part of the Sino-Hydro project. According to the Vice President, the roads that were selected in Cape Coast were in poor conditions when they were chosen, while many of them were unmotorable during the rainy season. Dr. Bawumia says government could not have chosen a better investment in the lives of the people than this. He called on critics of government to read and seek understanding of government activities before they criticize.
Today marks yet another day of the commissioning of yet another Sino-Hydro project, Feely. Unfortunately for some of our opponents, when we say something and they don't understand, instead of asking for an explanation and also reading about it, they don't like to read, they don't want to ask for explanation, they just say you are lying. But today, as we commission the Omwaye, they are silent. They are no longer saying it's not possible. A total of 441 kilometers of roads and 2 interchanges are to be constructed. The objectives of the projects are to enhance intra-urban, regional, and national traffic flow, trade, and strengthen regional economic integration. I was privileged to perform the sword cutting for this important project on 21st November 2019. The commencement of the project was on 20th December 2019 for completion in 30 months. The project was duly completed on schedule. Nananum, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we can see, the completion of the project has improved accessibility within the beneficiary communities in Cape Coast.
Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoakwanta, indicated that parts of the budget of the urban roads would be set aside to maintain the investment of roads government had done. He says the Ministry of Roads and Highways strategy is to increase the percentage of roads in good condition by undertaking various periodic maintenance activities.
The Department of Urban Roads shall make adequate provisions in its annual budgets from now onwards for the maintenance of these roads yet to be commissioned. Ladies and gentlemen, this is necessary to protect the government's massive investment in this sector and in these roads in particular. I therefore urge the Municipal Assembly to support us in enforcing bylaws aimed at protecting such a valuable public asset.
Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Lu Kun, justified why China would choose Ghana any day to invest in. Some motorists spoke to JoyNews.
For years, China has been actively supporting and constantly provided assistance to Ghana in many ways. Through China's aid, financing, investment, and contracting of projects, we have been building strong ties between the two nations. The China-aided Jamestown Fishing Port project, Phase 2 of the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho project, the annex building of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the regional integration are well underway. All these projects are Chinese government-aided projects. All these projects are aimed to promote Ghana's economic and the well-being of Ghanaian people.
Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejonya-Akon, Cape Coast.
Now, the member of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, Murtala Muhammad, is questioning the Ghana Airport Company Limited's refusal to provide information concerning Frontiers Health Services COVID testing deal. The GACL says the agreement with Frontiers Health Services contains information that cannot be disclosed. This is their response to a right to information request sent to the company by JoyNews. Frontiers was tasked to undertake COVID-19 testing at the Kotoka International Airport. The deal came under intense scrutiny following allegations of corruption leveled by some civil society organizations and opposition members of parliament against it. The Tamale Central Member of Parliament, Ibrahim Murtala Muhammad, says the response from the GACL is not convincing.
Well, first and foremost, let me quickly respond to one of the reasons they gave to Joy for their refusal to provide you with the information you sought from them. If they said that the monies were paid directly to Frontier Health, I mean, that is absolutely nonsense. And I say this without any apology. Every $150 that was paid, Ghana Airport Company had $2 from every $150. How did they calculate the $2? So what it means is that on everybody who makes payment, Ghana Airport Company knew they were getting $2. So they can easily provide the information. Because if you are assuming that 3 people came through the airport, so you multiply 150 by 3, that gives you $450. And out of the $450, you get $6. So simply they are unwilling to provide them. It is also important to state that I asked the question demanding to know. And the minister in his response on the floor said he provided same to the committee when he appeared before the committee and said he was going to provide it. As I sit today, months after that statement, that information has not been provided.
Well, now, public health actors are worried about the lack of funds to fight and promote issues of environmental health in the country. According to them, the absence of a centralized ministry responsible for public health makes it difficult to access funds, a situation they say is suffocating the aim to make Accra clean. They are calling for the passage of the National Health Sanitation Bill, which, among other things, is expected to harmonize activities of public health actors in the country. Michael Ashali has more in this report.
World Environmental Day is celebrated on 26th of September every year to put the spotlight on the crucial work done by environmental health workers. This year, the day was celebrated under the theme Strengthening Environmental Health Systems for the Implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. Public health activities in Ghana are split among 3 ministries and largely uncoordinated. According to Environmental Health Metro Director for the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Florence Kuchi, the situation is making it difficult to properly deal with the worsening sanitation problem in Accra.
We are supposed to be under local government ministry. That is our mother ministry. But as it stands now, we do not even have a desk there to say that this desk is for environmental health workers, that there will be a supervisory head there who will champion environmental health issues at the departmental, ministerial or interagency collaboration aspect. So this has been a very big issue. This gap is really having a big pinch on the environmental health officer when it comes to how we implement our duties in the country. So Ministry of Local Government doesn't do any budgeting for us, nor does Ministry of Sanitation does any budgeting for us. When you go to Ministry of Sanitation, the head is there without a body. Then you come to local government, the body is there without a head. How can only body work without a head, nor a head work without the body? So as time is going on, if care is not taken, the name environmental health is going to phase out. And if it is phased out, it's going to have a very big havoc to the country and the people as a whole.
Without a supervisory agency, the aim to make Accra the cleanest city in the sub-region will remain on paper. Director of Waste Management at the AMA, Ninoy Norte, explains why.
On this day, we are re-emphasizing Now we are torn between 3 ministries and we become orphans. They are supposed to carry our budgets along and then budget for our logistical needs and retooling to be able to perform efficiently. Then comes the sanitation ministry also. Yes, they are in charge of sanitation. The MEST will also come and say, yes, we are also in charge of electronic waste management and then plastic waste management. So now you see the 3 mothers, so to speak. When we need logistics, like vehicles, as it is raining and you need to go undercover and grab those who are dumping the waste in the drains, you can't walk in the rain.
Lecturer at the Accra School of Hygiene, Michael Afodope, is asking Parliament to pass the National Health Sanitation Bill. According to him, the bill, if passed, will resolve issues of supervision and greatly sharpen the focus to deal with sanitation.
I was calling for us to all join our voice together on the advocacy for us to create the National Sanitation Authority as a matter of urgency, because when that authority is actually created, or that bill is passed into an act, it will help to centralize the National Sanitation Authority bill. When it is passed into an act, it will help to centralize all environmental health activities under one umbrella, so that staff at the lower government service, those at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, anyone performing an environmental health sanitation activity will be responsible to this particular authority, and I'm sure that will address all these structural gaps.
Public health agents are also calling on government to retool environmental health officers to effectively discharge their duties. For JoyNews, Michael Ashale.
Now, some students of Weweso MA Junior High School in Kumasi are lamenting the expensive cost of hygienic pads on the market. They say this is worsening the discomfort associated with their monthly cycles. The students reveal they save up portions of money given them for food to purchase these sanitary pads.
Final year female students of Weweso MAJHS listening raptly to lessons on menstrual hygiene by a delegation of postgraduate students at KNUST. As hygienically required, women or adolescent girls during their periods should at least change their sanitary pads 3 times in a day. But the recent expensive cost of pads only makes room for them to breach the hygiene rules.
At first, we were buying it at a low price, but now the price has increased. The fact that the pads price has increased, we can't get enough of the pads. So for me per se, unless we close and I go home before I change it, it's very expensive. Even a day, if you have to buy food 2 cedis, you have to save some, so that when it gets to your month for menstruation, you can use that money that you saved or put it apart to buy some.
Despite temporary intervention by the school's management to resolve the girls' inconvenience, many of them still miss out on lessons at school. The situation affects attendance at the school. Priscilla Akonhene-Mensah is the headmistress.
They enter their menstrual period and then do not attend school because of the pad that they use to address the situation. And so sometimes some of them fail to come to school.
Sales manager, Northern Sector of Sunda Ghana Limited, Thomas Amea Jr. attributes the expensive cost to the skyrocketing cost of raw materials used for the parts.
Raw materials of products are very, very increasing, and most of the raw materials are also imported from different countries. So as the raw materials increases, obviously the dollar is used to buy the raw materials from the up countries. And can't leave that part also out. Definitely it also increases.
To ease their discomfort, the Graduate Students Association of Ghana, KNUST chapter, donated some packs of parts to the school. Edith Amponsa is Gender Commissioner for the association.
Like 60% of them are not able to purchase the sanitary pad and then use it. And then it's hygienically correct that they get the sanitary towel, use it properly in order to stay conducive hygiene and then steady.
For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright Kweku reporting.
Well, that's it for the news, but up next, shortly, we serve you the news review. Do stay. Welcome back, and it's time now for us to serve you the news review. Guess who's joining me? Mapito CBD. Good morning.
Benjamin, how are you?
Not the best of mornings, really, but we
Why?
come and
What's
we
happening?
do what we have to. What?
What's happening?
Oh, you know, sometimes you just wake up feeling a bit. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, good morning.
But let's start on this rather wet note. I'm sure you came across the rains at some point heading back home or something yesterday.
I did, and I slept in the dark last night because I didn't have lights.
Oh.
And then they said it's...
You know, there's a bit of a trigger sometimes when the light goes off.
So that's what they said.
They have to turn them.
They said there was...
When the rains come, they have to turn them.
They had to turn the lights off, yeah. So there was some kind of fault.
Okay.
And I showered in the dark. I got dressed in the dark. So, yeah, it was a dark morning for me. Dark night.
You were mentioning the other day, though, that in South Africa they have their own power outage situation.
Yeah. Right? But the funny thing is that I was in South Africa for like 6 months, and I didn't like what's this thing called? Oh, I'm so tired. Experience. I didn't experience a light off.
Right.
6 months.
6 months.
And there's like a power.
So it means something is getting better, right?
No, it means that in South Africa I live in a better.
I was about to also ask. So what are the hotspots for doomsday in South Africa?
Oh, actually, there are no hotspots. Like, it's generally everywhere. So they try to distribute it fairly. So they'll say like 4 hours
so it's
here,
like
2
load
hours
shedding.
here. Yeah, 4 hours here, 2 hours here, 3 hours there. So it depends which area you live, really, which neighborhood.
I think Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa seem to have gained some notoriety when it comes to power outages.
Yeah, that's
especially, I mean, in Nigeria, when you talk of NEPA, then everyone knows what time it is.
What's happening?
Practically every human being there has a generator. But we've had our own brushes with power outages, South Africa, and I'm sure many other countries on the African continent. I feel, in fact, I mean, you know how it is a slur to refer to our continent as the dark continent? It is. But, I mean, taking aside all of that slur and everything, it is the dark continent in the sense that when you look at the continent from space and you look at, I mean, comparatively to other continents, they are brighter at night. But here, and that tells you, it gives you a glimpse of the power situation across the continent. But I found something worrying. I was having a discussion yesterday with one of those in our top management about the rains and the erratic patterns, you know, global warming, climate change. And September, you would expect some heat, but of course, sometimes the rains also come, like we are seeing. But some of the footage I saw, videos from Spintex, from East Legon, you know, from other places. Let's not even talk about Kaneshie and the rest, because we know what happens in those places. It was as though Noah's Ark had just set sail one more time. I was just
terrible. Every year we have to deal with this.
Accra floods was trending again yesterday.
Because every time it rains for maybe like some 3 hours, 2 hours straight, we have to deal with the floods. It's terrible. But let's say good morning to Liz Hefron Asari. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm fine.
Hey, it looks like this morning we are all
tired.
Where did we wake up? Because Liz, to confess, we are tired too. But you know, it is what it is. You do what you do, we do what we do. And Ghana keeps up.
And we appreciate what you do.
Thank you. I also appreciate what you do.
Okay,
so to you.
Before Mapito starts with the daily graphic, I'd just like to find out, the rains came again yesterday. Some places were taken over by the rain. Did you have any experience, anything to share?
No, not really. Even though I went to the office and came, all the areas that I passed through, even though most of the time it's flooded and things, was pretty okay yesterday. Maybe because I came in early.
Yeah.
Because I had other things to do, but maybe because I came in early. But I don't know what else we can say about these rains that will cause us as a people to listen. We know what causes the floods. Apart from our insanitary conditions, we have built-in waterways and all kinds of things. We know what causes it, but nobody is ready to take action.
Nobody seems to want to take action. Well, let's go straight into the daily graphic. And the big story is Save Fishery Industry. Now, the association is calling for strong policies on foreign fishers. The dominance of foreign industrial fishing fleets in the country's maritime waters, it said, was killing local capacity drive, and a way was needed to address the development. And we also have UN pledges $260 million for support for SDGs and Agenda 2063. We also have IMF Ghana confer on economy, and government committed to minority rights. That's according to the Attorney General. Let's go to the IMF Ghana confer on economy, and that is on page 16. Let's see if I can get a bit of that. All right, so we know that a delegation from the IMF led by the mission chief to Ghana arrived in Accra over the weekend and started the negotiations with officials from the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana. The negotiations expected to explore the nature of policies, reforms and programs that the loan support should entail in helping to stabilize their economy. In a separate statement yesterday announcing the commencement of negotiations, the Ministry of Finance said a key prerequisite for a program was a confirmation that the country's debt was on a sustainable path. The key prerequisite for a program was a confirmation that the country's debt was on a sustainable path. That's a very interesting one. Liz, what do you think? Do you think that the country's debt is on a sustainable path?
Sustainable path? No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all, because we have overspent and we have reached the part where we are rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I don't see the kind of policies that will kind of like ensure a sustainable path for our debt servicing. We are not doing anything new. We are not doing anything differently. We are not being as austere as we ought to be. And if we don't, then we definitely are not coming out of our debt situation anytime soon. You want to see policies that will cut back on our spending, especially the spending that we don't really need to engage in.
Yeah.
Having all these vehicles traveling in convoys, living above our means, that kind of thing. We're not seeing it. We're not seeing our industries being given the boost that they need to encourage them to produce for consumption in Ghana. We are not seeing it. We are not seeing us cutting back by putting our monies more into infrastructural development that will probably last us a long time. We are just consuming everything that we are getting.
Yeah.
And until we move to the place where we are producing more, importing less, making sure that we are developing the nation, putting the money where it really is needed. No time soon.
Yeah.
We'll be able to sustain our debt restructuring.
All right, now let's also talk about something that's very interesting here. They have like a special supplement, and it's promoting domestic tourism for wealth creation. I'm not sure if you can see that. So, promoting domestic tourism for wealth creation. Ghana eyes ultimate tourism destination spot. Now, officials in the tourism sector are working around the clock to position Ghana as the most preferred tourism destination in Africa. And that's according to the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim Awal. So he said to help make Ghana a top tourism destination on the continent, an aggressive campaign to invite the rest of the world to experience the country had already begun. The minister said that tourism was currently ranked as the third largest contributor to gross domestic products in Ghana after cocoa, oil and gas resources. He added that Ghana was also home to some of the richest and most diverse cultures of the world, with people exuding an ever-welcoming wealth which should motivate travelers to visit the country. He said, and it's in quotes, "It is the vision of the government to move tourism from being the third largest contributor to our GDP to becoming the leading contributor by 2024. And I think it's very good what they're doing with the tourism sector. But one thing that I've always noticed is that the roads leading to all of these tourism sites, these museums, going to Cape Coast, the roads are terrible.
Most of them are in a simply deplorable state.
Most of them,
in fact, some of them don't even have proper paths leading to them.
So, Liz, do you have anything to say about our tourism industry and how we can improve it? And what are some of the things we can do to become the leading tourist destination?
I heard what the minister said in 1994 when we hosted the African Travel Association. We have been paying lip service to tourism for that long.
Yeah.
And we are still paying lip service to the tourism industry. When you travel out and you come back, you realize that the cost of hotels in Ghana is one of the highest. And so you wonder how you're going to encourage tourists to come into your country when your hotel bills are skyrocketing. You have to pay so much for accommodation.
Yeah.
You don't see all the other things that you see when you go out, where it's not only the big hotels that people are paying attention to. They're either tented camps, they're either small budget hotels that are comfortable for everybody. Our budget hotels here are nothing to write home about. And if we don't get our act together, then we would continue crying and saying that will make tourism number one. I don't know why tourism is not number one now. We try and organize all these fine homecoming events, and yet people come in then and then they go out and they're not willing to come back.
Yeah.
And like you said, the roads to our tourist sites are deplorable. We have not developed our tourist sites in any way. If you travel out to a tourist destination where you're told that you see wildlife, you could be there 2-3 days before you see any animals pass. So we are not really developing our tourism industry. It's a shame that we are not. We are thinking that the private sector should do it. But does the private sector have the capital to be able to invest at the rates that they are borrowing from the banks? So we need to look at it holistically.
So Liz mentioned accommodation. Accommodation in Accra is just ridiculously overpriced. And I don't even know what
Accra is one of the most expensive cities to be in on many, especially now with our rate of inflation. But it's always been one of those most expensive cities on the continent and beyond when it comes to accommodation. It's one of those rentals. It's insidious, actually.
And I just don't know what we're even paying for. Even the quality
you go
of
to
the
certain
houses
places
are terrible.
Mapito, even in places like, and I'm not denigrating any place, Apapa going, because when you look at the Laboni area, Apapa going in there, when you look at Chado now and what it's become, and you see some places, even around the Teshi areas and all of that, you look at the space they are offering you. And they are saying 2-bedroom, for example, but each room is, I don't know what the measurements are off the top of my head, but they are so small, they are more like cubicles. That should give you an idea. And the outrageous sums of money they are calling for. And the fact that we have, systems, or should have systems, to regulate all of this. I don't know. I know the jurisdiction, part of the jurisdiction of the Rent Control Office is to get into some of these matters. But we've said it time and again, landlords shouldn't even be taken more than 6 months. More than 6 months. But they are doing so with wanton abandon. I mean, they're taking 2 years. And if you're lucky, subsequently, they would accept a year moving on. Yeah. For those renting to do business, like seamstresses, hairdressers, and the rest,
5 years or
3 years minimum.
Yeah.
5 years, 10 years. I mean, it works both ways because some may say if I pay for 10 years, but how many can afford that? I have a friend who recently wanted a place somewhere around East Legon. If I tell you how much they were asking for, and for what? 5 years. Can you imagine? It's sickening, but we'll not deal with all of these problems. It's all about the talk shop, and what I detest in this country is it's always, we will do, we never do. Yeah. We will do. Do you know how long we've been speaking about this 6-month issue, and you shouldn't even be paying for more than 6 months? I think I've been talking about it since practically as long as I've lived. It's insane.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
But let's check out what you have in the Daily Guide.
Well, let me get into the Daily Guide newspaper. Ghana IMF negotiate bailout. I'll bring you details of that. There's also EC pledges ID cards for qualified voters. There's Bagbin has not ditched GBA. Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekbo says so. And then government bridging development gaps. Dr. Baumia, the vice president, says so. But the banner headline, NDC sponsored evil, quote, jeers at Nana. You know, I asked you yesterday about, since I wasn't there, I didn't have the pink sheets to show in court.
Yeah.
But you had been there. And you had the evidence.
I had, yeah.
Can you reiterate for all of us, what was the mood? Did you feel this was spontaneous, or was it something that appeared rehearsed? Something that appeared, political? This was something that was literally spontaneous. As soon as he went onto the stage and he started speaking, people were just like upset. Because even if you go to Twitter, people are... You mean immediately it was announced that Mr. President was coming to deliver the speech? No, as soon as he started speaking. As soon as he started speaking, that's when they started booing and just hooting, and they were just not interested in what he had to say, And if you go to Twitter, like I was saying, that if you go to Twitter, people are saying that, you know what, we don't want to hear what you have to say, right? Imagine you're here at the concert, you're trying to forget your problems, but your biggest problem in life comes to the stage to talk about whatever he has to say. We don't want to hear what you have to say. Do you get it? Let us just continue, because the funny thing is that there were a lot of speakers, and they were talking about climate change, they were talking about ending extreme poverty, but none of these people were booed. Do you understand? Until Mr. President came. And I've seen that same rhetoric. I mean, I like to go on Twitter and see how people are reacting. Yeah. And some people were basically just saying, we came to this concert to forget about our woes, our troubles, and then we see Mr. President. But I don't even have a problem with that. For me, I feel, yes, maybe it could have been mitigated because, like I said yesterday, it was a bit disturbing to have the president of the land, father figure, jeered, booed in that way. Though you cannot take it away from ordinary Ghanaians to express their sentiments freely. But I feel it cast a slur on the entire event for the president to be booed like that. But what I don't get, what I can't fathom for the life of me is presidential staffers, people in the president's team, others trying to say, oh, you know what? These people were all NDC. But they were all members of the opposition. In fact, they had been bussed there or they came there. And I'm thinking, okay, so who conducted the analysis? Who did the head count? Who did the head count? Oh, you're in the opposition, right? Yeah. I mean, it's getting to, I'm sorry, nonsensical levels where anyone who criticizes anything pro-government is deemed or painted with a certain paintbrush, opposition, NDC. I feel that is a big problem. And if Mr. President is listening, I hear he watches JoyNews a lot. I think you should watch the people around you because this has happened to many of our leaders. You have praise singers, people around you who are singing a certain tune, but a lot of them may turn out to be sycophants looking for their own interest instead of your interest and the interest of the country. What do they say? That's all I'll say. What did they say about the king that was naked? Oh, yeah. Yeah? The emperor that was naked. His aides and others kept saying he had clothes on, when in fact,
he was naked.
Anyway, so let's get just a few details of those stories and we shall call it a wrap. So let's go to page 6. Ghana IMF negotiate bailout, and the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana yesterday began discussions with the International Monetary Fund team on policies and reforms that could be supported by the fund's lending arrangement to bring Ghana out of its present economic challenges. A statement released by the Finance Ministry said the government was putting together a comprehensive post-COVID-19 economic program, which would form the basis for the negotiations with the IMF team led by Stéphane Roudet, mission chief for Ghana. Even with the IMF program, I think we've shot to about 178% of our drawing rights, what we should get, which is the equivalent of about $1.69 billion. But we wouldn't be alone in this. If you look at Argentina, they are getting about 10 times what their drawing rights are, and other countries as well. But it's not a place you want to be. That's just it. Bagbin has not ditched the GBA. That's according to Roxanne Nelson, Dafia Mkbo. And he is suggesting that the media has quoted or misquoted what the Speaker of Parliament said, insisting that it must be placed on record that nowhere in the Speaker's welcoming remarks, that is for the Law Society of Ghana, did he ever state that he had resigned from the Ghana Bar Association. So that's just it, to make it very clear. I'll bring in lists on this one as well. EC pledges ID cards for qualified voters. And the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Sribo Kweku, has stated that the Commission will provide every qualified voter with an identity card before the 2024 general election, barring any unforeseen circumstances. That means there could be unforeseen circumstances. According to him, every qualified voter would get their identity card so that they could be fully registered for the elections within the 2 years. He made mention of this, of course, on Newsfile with Samson Lade Anyenene. Quick reactions, Liz, to these stories?
When the EC is talking about identity cards, are they talking about the Ghana card or they are talking about the voter's identity card?
So in this instance, he says the Commission will provide every qualified voter an identity card before the 2024 general election, barring any unforeseen circumstances. I want to believe this has to do with the EC itself, on the back of which people would have to use the Ghana card. Yes.
Okay. So that I think is good news. I mean, nobody should be disenfranchised. So if they're embarking on that, I think that the earlier they start, the better. They shouldn't wait till 2024 when we have to vote to begin to rush to give voters ID cards. So if he has said so, let's see them take action now, so that people are comfortable and know that they have every right to vote and that they can vote.
What do you think of our duplication of cards, though? It appears we have cards for everything in this country. Maybe that's why we have the Ghana card idea. Unfortunately, not everybody has it as well, and that is also hobbling. The other day, you were telling me about that person who was saying that for him, because for him, he won't even bother. He doesn't bank. He doesn't keep his money in the bank.
Because I think that in the past he has bothered and he doesn't see any improvement in his life apart from him fighting for himself and him making sure that he's comfortable. So that is where some people are getting. And so if everybody is going to get a voter's ID or it's going to be able to vote, what are the circumstances that people are not going to stand in queues for hours on end only to get the card, and then when they're going to vote, they say, no, your name is not here, try here, and it puts people off when they have gone through a long process to attain just a card. And then when it comes to the day of voting, then they're being tossed haywire. So if they're doing it and they're doing it properly, yes, and they should be able to do it properly. After all, the EC always has officers to help them that go under training, and it's a lot of money. So if you spend so much money, why are you not getting it right? And so the EC needs to sit up. It is important that we all vote. It is important that the voting process is free and fair. It is very important that it is very transparent. Because if you want to make sure that we stay out of conflict, then you have to make sure that everybody is satisfied with what you're rolling out. As long as there's some opposition to what you're doing, there's some disagreement with what you're doing, then we are not sure that even when we go to the polls, we are safe.
Okie doke, that is the situation there, and I think that is it for the Daily Guide. Shall we do some entertainment stories? Usually there's something in the middle.
I was going to touch on the president being booed.
What's your take on that?
I think that we should have nipped these things in the bud. When some of us started talking about it and started talking about our culture and the way we do things, we were tagged as Kolo. But you see, in the past, and unfortunately, we see some of these leaders themselves in positions call others names and say all kinds of derogatory things about their opponents. It's unfortunate. I really feel very ashamed that it should happen at such an event, or it should happen at all. Because I do not look at the person in the office, I look at the office. And we are denigrating our offices, our high offices. It doesn't matter who is there. That is the office that we should be given respect. But we are not. We are disrespecting everything. Yeah. And then you look back and you see that, well, it has come over a period of time, such that now the youth do not blink when they're insulting their elders. They do it with careless abandon. They think that, well, they have every right to call anybody what they want because they also have a right. They also are important in this place. But we should not forget our culture. We should not forget that we were groomed a certain way. We should make the world see that even if we disagree with his policies and what he is doing, we will not respect that office. And for me, it is a shame that we did.
Someone just sent through a message as you spoke, and the person wants me to ask you, how about the frustration of the people? Are they not justified in venting that? What do you think?
Well, you're justified in venting your frustrations, but even if you do in the way they did, what problem does it solve?
Right.
For me, that is what we need to be looking at. You can vent your frustrations, but if you're venting your frustrations, you're venting it on who? And I look at frustrations that
let me just, I agree with you to a certain extent, and I agree with them also to a certain extent. I'm somewhere in the middle. But, you know, people, I just get the feeling. We all feel what is happening. You feel it, I feel it, Mapito feels it. Yeah. We all do. But I'm thinking, like I was pointing out earlier, that there may be people around the president who are painting the picture that, you know, things are okay. I think that this was people trying to show Mr. President that, look, you better get your act together because right now we're at that proverbial creek without a paddle. And I don't know what people around you are telling you, but this is not on. It's not going well. I think that was the mood of the people.
Yes, and I agree, and that's why I'm saying that I do not hold, even though I feel ashamed, and I feel ashamed because of where it occurred. The focus has been moved from what the concert was for to concentrating on the booing of the president. Yet it was a climate change kind of event that should avert our minds to climate change that we do not want to avert our minds to. Yeah. So for me, that's why I think that sometimes we should look at the occasion and make sure that we promote whatever it's being portrayed. Right now, the climate change issue has been lost on us as the people, because all our concentration has moved to the booing of the president. But that was not why the event was organized in the first place.
Okay.
So all the people who spoke about climate change and what we can do and the solutions for climate change have not been heard.
Just a quick add-on, very briefly on this. It's in the middle spread of the paper, entertainment or showbiz, and there's Ejako, an actor, Kofi Edu, that's his real name. He says Nane's reign, that is the reign of this current president, is the best so far. So we've gone to one extreme about people booing or jeering at the president. What do you make of this statement? Nana's reign best so far. I don't know whether he's referencing the Fourth Republic, which looks like it, but what's your reaction?
Well, maybe to him, because I won't say so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mapita?
Well, just a quick one. Still on the
I wouldn't put you on the spot and ask you. No, I wouldn't.
No, don't. Still on the booing thing. It wasn't just President Akufo who was booed. You know, we had in New York, the Global Citizen was also taking place there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nancy
Pelosi.
Pelosi was also booed. So it looks like people are just upset. People are venting their frustrations. And the disrespect thing that Liz is talking about, I'm not sure. Because they wouldn't have had any other opportunity to vent to the president. This was their only chance, so why not?
They did it. They took advantage of it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, though, in the U.S., did the issue of disrespect or respect come up? I don't know. I've not read. I know she was booed, but did that come up that Nancy Pelosi had been disrespected?
I haven't seen it. I've read like some 4 articles. I haven't seen the disrespect part, and I think the disrespect part is just an African thing. You know, like Liz is probably a mother. Yeah, it's a culture thing. Liz is probably a mother, a grandmother, someone's daughter. So she has those African values in her. And I think sometimes, you know, having the African values is all great and it's all good, but I also think that these African values is what is holding us back. Yeah, those African values are somewhat holding us back.
So we can say that some of them, and I agree, I mean, up to a point we had female genital mutilation. What was the we used to call it female circumcision, right?
Yeah.
And then we realized that it was so negative, so we gave it a name that would startle you a bit. Female genital mutilation. We used to do that, and we supported it with culture and all of that. So there are some things, and I'm not saying that it is wrong to disrespect your elders, wrong to respect your elders. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not disagreeing fundamentally with you, Liz, but I'm just saying that there are some aspects of our national lives that we very could do away with. When it comes to, and that's why I feel very differently on the Galamsey issue and Odike, and what happened to him, because chiefs, relevant institution, fundamental institution in this country, we know the role they play, but I feel sometimes they overstep their bounds, all in the name of culture and all of that, and it's all sometimes quite a bit of hogwash. But yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, so just quickly from the Daily Statesman, AG rally support for minority groups, and Elembele DC urges residents to support the Galamsey fight. And we also have Maslock secures AFDB funding support, and government positive about the IMF deal as critical stakeholder engagements begin. But let's go to page 4 with the Elembele DC, where the Elembele DC is urging residents to support the Galamsey fight. He says this is largely due to the involvement of numerous actors in the Galamsey menace. Okay, so he's saying that there are a lot of challenges fighting the menace on the ground, and this is largely due to the involvement of numerous actors in the Galamsey. He believes the fight will be successful if Ghanaians join hands with MMDCs by providing them with information on Galamsey sites, owners, and their operations. Liz, we've been talking about this Galamsey fight. Now, the Elembele DC is urging residents to support it. What are your thoughts before we let you go?
To support the fight, I agree. But then the question on the other hand is that what is the Elembele DC doing for the people that he's asking to support the fight? If they're not into Galamsey, what other alternatives do they have to go into? And so you begin to ask the question of, why would people prefer to do Galamsey and destroy the environment instead of cultivate farms that would give us produce? And so if you're looking at it vis-a-vis, then you ask yourself, what can we do to encourage them to farm rather than go into Galamsey? I'm sure that with Galamsey, they're getting quick money. And as individuals, that is what they're looking at. They're looking at how to better themselves individually.
Yeah.
And if you're calling for them to join the fight, then you must have an alternative for them. If you're calling for them to give up those who are spearheading Galamsey, then you must be sure that, well, if they give you the information, they are comfortable that they are being protected, and so they would be covered by the Whistleblowers Act. If all these things are not taken into consideration and you just call for them to join the fight, I'm sure they'll just listen to you and turn and do exactly the opposite. So what have we as a people put in place to ensure that the people who are engaged in Galamsey, and we know that those who are there washing the mud and everything and making our waters are not the ones who are the end beneficiaries of all the gold that is coming out. So how are we moving them away from engaging in Galamsey to doing something profitable that will benefit us as a people, as a nation, that will protect our waters? So he should give us a clear picture of exactly what he wants the people to do. Otherwise, he just says it, they hear it, and they will continue to do what they're doing, because that is their livelihood.
Let's hear from Asari. Thank you so much for
Oh, let me just sneak this by Liz before she goes. We don't have time for the other headlines, but RTI, since you're with the RTI, I just want to put this to you. Parliament approves fees for access to information. That's in the Finder newspaper. And Mapito, so persons seeking information are to pay 27 pesos for every photocopy of A4 size of information. And it goes back to Section 75 of the Right to Information Act 2019. But a quick question for you. We here at the Multimedia Group, JoyNews specifically, reached out to the Ghana Airport Company Limited on the issue of Frontiers Healthcare. And we've been told many things about Section 10. Do you have any quick reaction to that?
I just saw it this morning, but yes, I believe that if the Frontiers Health were working for GACL, then GACL just can't throw us off and say that they do not have a response and that they do not know what was involved with them, because then how did they come to be the health institution at the airport that was conducting COVID tests? Because the airport is GACL's space. So I would ask them to come again.
Liz Hayfron-Asari, media consultant, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Mapito, that's rather curious, right? So, like Bright Simon says, if you don't know how much they were earning, how did you know that they were not cheating you?
Yeah. Well, up next is sports.
Good morning, welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. Tonight, the Black Stars of Ghana, who will be playing their second friendly this month as they come up against Nicaragua in Loca, Spain. Head coach of the national team, Otto Addo, is expecting an improved performance from his boys following their 3-0 drubbing at the hands of Brazil. However, it appears he will be without the services of Tariq Lamptey and Alexander Djiku, who were unable to train with the rest of the squad yesterday.
Another good test match for us, just to find each other, to find patterns, find connections. And yeah, we're happy to be here and have an opponent like Nicaragua, where we hopefully can try a lot of things. I don't think it will be that as tough as the match against Brazil, but it's a different toughness because they proved also in previous games that they can harm other teams, so it's going to be interesting. They took us a little pain, so we went with the doctor for a checkup. We have to wait for the results. And Tariq, the warm-up, he bad a little something, so we just said, okay, we have to watch out and make load management, and he will be assessed later after training. Hope that it's nothing serious, and I hope that we can play tomorrow. It's a different game. I think in this game we are the favorites, so it demands different things from us. And yeah, we trained it, we talked about it the last days, and hopefully we can see a lot of, especially offensive patterns in that game.
Are we likely to see, players who didn't play in the game against Basel on the pitch? A lot more new faces?
This one we will decide this evening, we'll see. No, like I said, it's a different match. And for everyone to know, for me, I can win with a team and play against the next team, but every team demands different things. So I need to pick the players which I need for that game. Even though somebody may score 3 goals in one game, it doesn't mean that he has to play in another game, because it's the games and the teams, the opponents are different. And so different demands for this I have to bring different players.
You were worried about set pieces in our first game. What have you done about it?
Yeah, we had some, I think, useful discussions about set pieces. Yesterday we trained them again, and yeah, we hope that we improve in that and we don't concede goals anymore like.
Now let's hear from President of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt Okreku, who has called on the players to be focused on the World Cup. Tonight's game is a penultimate Black Stars friendly before the FIFA World Cup that starts in November later this year. The senior national team will reconvene in November for a friendly match against Switzerland before their opening game of the FIFA World Cup against Portugal. And President of the FA, Kurt Okreku, wants the players to be focused on the tournament.
World Cup, which is the immediate assignment ahead of this team, is the biggest platform any footballer, Amati, can think about. Okay. The World Cup is the biggest platform anybody who works in the football industry can think about. So it's a period where the entire world will be watching each one of us to make our individual selves proud and to make our dear country great and strong. It's you guys who have the opportunity to put our dear country at the top of the world through your individual performances and through the collective performance of this family here. So it's so important that each one of us keep our focus firmly on the assignment ahead of us. It's not a time for us to play. It's time for all of us to get ourselves ready for the big responsibility that lies ahead of us. I have no doubt, and I'm not in doubt about the quality that we have here. I'm not in doubt. What that means is that you have the confidence of the entire nation behind you and with you. So whenever you are picked to represent our true colors, you should go onto that pitch knowing that the 30 million plus people of our dear country are behind you.
BPA authority says they are committed to helping identify and harness football talents within its catchment area. About 5 players have been selected to join John Pencil's academy as they seek to develop talents within the region. My colleague Precious Semevo has the rest of the story.
Bui Power Authority, through the Chief Executive's vision, has expanded its annual community fund games into a BPA talent development program to unearth talents in the Banda district of the Bono region. Powered by the Community Relations Unit led by Gabriel Patu, teams from 16 communities within the Energy Authority's catchment area took part in a gala competition won by Bongase after beating Cabrono by a goal to nil. Fantastic 5 talents were selected from about 290 players by the John Pencil Academy, which will also continue grooming the players for a year. Wumbila Salifu is Director, General Services, BPA.
This is an attempt by Buipo Authority as one of our supports to the people within the area to unearth football talents. Because over the years, when we do such game, we notice people have talent. And now we have what we call the Fantastic 5. And so John Pencil would be the one who would help fine-tune the talent. And hopefully, we expect that these people should grow up and even play for our national teams. And so that really is the dream. And it serves as a motivation for young talents here to also keep practicing. And hopefully one day, they also make it and go to the academy where their talents can be further sharpened.
He also talked about BPA's plans to develop sports infrastructure.
Plans are far advanced to build an AstroTurf within the area to promote football. And for us, we view the Bui hydroelectric project not just in terms of the power generation, but it's management's conviction that it should bring benefits to the community. We are a country that loves football. And so this is just one of the efforts by which we want to get people off the streets. People should focus on their studies and also take football as a career as well.
The climax of the week's competition saw some ex-Black Stars players, including John Pencil, Isaac Vossa, Peter Forikwe and Memunatu Sulemana lose 2-1 to selected players from the competition. John Pencil says the young footballers, among other things, would also learn about life after football at the John Pencil Academy.
The players that we've discovered today are the players who are already made. That don't need much to be done on them. I'm just going to polish them and teach them how players become a professional player and be disciplined on the pitch and off the pitch, and understand, also respect the time, the professionalism in football. And also my academy, John Pencil Football Academy, also taught players about life after football. How players will comport themselves during the game and then after you retire. Like myself, I always use myself as an example for my players.
Precious Semevo, Joy Sports, Bui.
Smuggler's Paradise, our latest hotline documentary. And we get into the nitty-gritty. Ghana apparently losing some 300 million Ghana cedis on the back of some of these activities every year. Well, joining us for that all-important conversation, Benjamin Bekai. He is Senior Revenue Officer, Commander, Custom Counter-Terrorism Unit, that is with the GRA Customs Division. He joins the conversation. Mr. Bekai, a very good morning to you. Good morning. There's also Ernest Appiah-Boakye, Chief Revenue Officer in charge of Preventive TEMA, GRA Customs Division. Mr. Appiah, a very good morning to you as well.
Good morning, my brother.
Okay, so I'll start with my namesake. Maybe you shouldn't have come named Benjamin. Quite a lot has happened. This wouldn't be the first time that, a matter like this is arising. But has this come to your attention, this latest hotline documentary?
Yes, it has. It has really come to our attention. And I should say that it came to us as surprise, though, because we believe that we had put in mechanisms, yes, just to make sure we prevent smuggling at the borders. But we are also, let me say, grateful to the multimedia team for bringing this revelation to our attention. At least it gives us a hint that we need to step up our anti-smuggling operations at the borders. So we are much, much more grateful to multimedia for this wonderful expose that you have brought to our attention.
Mr. Appiah-Boakye, for you, how would you say you reacted initially when this came up? Obviously, it's not a positive thing.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to this?
My reaction, as my brother has already reiterated, was a mixed feeling. It was a mixed feeling because we knew we were doing our best, but not knowing our best was not good enough. So when it came, we said, oh, why? Well, then we have to step up our game. So as he also said, we are much, much, much grateful. It has given us the impetus to, as it were, up our game and tighten the knots where it needs to be. So we are very grateful to multimedia.
When you look at the details in there, in terms of the documentary itself and what it reveals and how much, especially with the focus on cooking oil, is funneled through from neighboring countries here, and vice versa, if you like. Is that, I mean, looking at the sheer quantities and how much we lose, what does that mean? I mean, is it systemic? Are there loopholes that are allowing people to do this?
Thank you very much for this question. When we talk of smuggling, I think we are looking at it from the context of smuggling.
Right.
That these items have been able to influx our market and the nation. When we talk of smuggling, it's a complex and a very, 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 very difficult issue to handle. Not even within our country, but nationwide. All countries, advanced countries, and they are all grappling with the issue of smuggling. So when it comes to smuggling, it's a difficult issue. All that we do and we try to do is to bring it to the barest minimum. Looking at the quantum that has been quoted in the expose and looking at perhaps the revenue that might have been lost to the states, then it's a little bit of a worry that, yes, much has to be done to, as it were, bring this smuggling activities to the barest minimum.
It is causing a lot of losses to the state, most definitely. But I just want to look at the crucial issue of training. I just want to get there as well, Benjamin.
All right.
Even before, when you're recruiting officers into the customs service, what sort of training do they go through in respect of what we are seeing now? Smuggling activities, how to curb them, and how not to be complicit themselves, because we see that also coming up. What goes into their training?
All right. So, as you said, customs has a procedure in recruiting, and this procedure involves even a criminal background check of the potential recruits. So all these things are done, and whilst they are recruited, we also have a training package. Our training school is at a Volta region. That's where you have your initial training, basic training. And you are taken through a lot of tactics and field craft in terms of paramilitary training, how to combat smuggling or embark on anti-smuggling operations, how to patrol the borders and other tactics that you are taught. Beyond that, you're also given further training in ethics and integrity training. You have all these training package for the officer. But indeed, beyond the training, sometimes being a human institution, you still are likely to encounter some of these bad nuts, I should say. So our training package is well tailored to meet the needs of the customs operation. So we have a very good training program.
How long do you train your officers for?
Yeah, in fact, within the security setup, I can say customs has the longest span of training. It ranges from 12 months to 18 months of training.
And what goes into whether it will be 12 or 18?
Yes, it depends on the category that you actually came in. If you came in probably as a recruit that is non-officer level, you are likely to do 12 months. And then beyond that, you are likely to go for 18 months of training.
Okay. Yes. We've got some responses already from the Ghana Immigration Service, customs and all of that on the back of this latest Hotline documentary. But I'd like to find out from you, have you found out how these dealers are able to compromise your staff? I intentionally posed the question about training because then something will be inculcated in them that you must do X and you must not do Y. So if they're doing Y, we must find out why they are succumbing to that. Have you been able to find out?
Well, as we have already said, smuggling activity itself is a very complex phenomenon to deal with. Not losing sight on the fact that the syndicate themselves are highly networked people who exploit various avenues, sometimes not just compromising the officers, but they can use other means to even outsmart or outwit their officers. And I think the documentary even spoke to that fact, where some of them plan to hide or conceal items within VIP buses and even charcoal trucks. So these are all modus operandi that the smugglers always want to go a step ahead of the officer. But that being said, being a human institution, as I said,
right,
you are most likely to have situations where some of the smugglers may exploit some weak officers by bribing their way through, and that is possible. We cannot deny that fact.
Over time, have you, I mean, over the years, like I said, this wouldn't be the first time that something of this nature has come up. Have you encountered any of such weak officers? What has been done to them?
Yes, most definitely. I think that your expose come as an addition to previous exposes that we've had. We, at our own level, we have internal mechanisms that expose some of these officers. And when that is done, I can give you a typical example. About a year or two ago, some officers were caught doing the wrong thing, and they were actually interdicted, they were investigated, and some were demoted. Some were even had to be suspended, and other sanctions meted out to them. So we've had instances like, we all know what Anas did in the past. Some officers were even prosecuted, and some were sentenced. So we have proper mechanism to expose such bad nuts that we have, and then also to make sure that the good ones are encouraged to do their best.
You want to top up? Sure.
Yes, to add to what my brother has just said. You see, one thing that stands out clearly in the those of us who wear uniform, you say you salute the rank. And one of the most unattractive punishment that you can give to an officer is to demote the person. For now, I'm a chief revenue officer, and something happens and I'm demoted to, say, a principal revenue officer or a senior revenue officer. And I have to salute those that are my juniors.
Or those who were saluting you previously.
So you can just imagine. So when some of these things come up and measures are taken to correct or to reform the officers or one way or the other, ours is so much humiliating that some people doesn't want to even go near them. And when such punishments are meted out to them, you see from the person's demeanor that it has just gone deep down to him.
So I accept that, and I agree. I mean, in the services, whether it's the military, the police, or all of that, I mean, imagine being of a very high rank and being demoted. It can be very psychologically traumatic for you. But apart from that, someone would also say, but it no be the rank I go chop. Someone will also tell you that.
Yes.
If he's got the money, he's already got the money. Yeah. And are there mechanisms, basically what I'm trying to say, are there mechanisms so that if it can be proven, for example, that through this very conduit where these officers are stationed, maybe 200,000 cedis worth of revenue that should have come to the state has not come to the state through their activities. Are there checks that are run to find out that, maybe they've acquired this property, this one has acquired this property there, that one has acquired that property, so that the penalty moves just beyond rank and maybe even putting them out of the service? I mean, you can put someone out of the service and the person would have made, let's assume, 250,000 Ghana cedis. And the person's aim would have been achieved. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
So what else is being done in that regard?
In that regard, then it transcends beyond the internal mechanism that we are talking about. Then it becomes a criminal offense, which the state has laws and regulations to deal with you. He just mentioned that some officers who, during the Anas expose, were actually prosecuted.
You're talking of the Atta Mills era one?
Yes.
The one under Atta Mills, right?
Yes, I think Anas did a couple of them. One in the Elubo side and those officers.
Yes, at Tema, yes, they were prosecuted. Some were even sentenced to prison terms. And when it comes to that, then the state will decide whether to attach your property, to look at how within this period you were able to acquire these things so that the state can even attach your property. We are not saying that we are customs, so the state laws does not affect us. We are also affected by the state law. So if something of the nature happens, definitely the state will also...
But let me just find out. So have we had any such instances before where any people, I mean, beyond this, in terms of the criminal, proceedings, apart from incarcerating them, maybe property has been targeted and all of that?
For that,
I think Ben wants to...
So I'm very much aware, like we cited a nurse incident that led to the prosecution of the officers. I think properties were seized or retrieved from them, and sometimes it depends on the degree of the offense, you see. So like the demotion we're talking about, that's not the only sanction that we give to our officers. We look at the density of the offense and the quantum of the amounts involved. And like my boss said, sometimes it goes beyond the internal administrative mechanisms to get to criminal issues. Again, we also have the Internal Affairs Department that is more or less like PIPs, if you like, the PIPs of customs. And they are non-uniformed officers who go after officers. They monitor your lifestyle. They can even follow you privately to uncover what you do in your...
Oh, wow, I
yes,
see.
yes, we have that, and they do that very often.
And these are officers?
They are officers.
And they are trained specifically for this?
For this, yes.
And so you don't even know. They may not be dressed as officers.
No, they never wear uniforms.
Mufti or something. And
they wear mufti.
Some of our colleagues don't even know them. They've never encountered them. So they can mount surveillance on you and check your lifestyle, trace your properties. Sometimes you've not even done anything wrong, but when they study your lifestyle and they realize that you are living out of your means, there are ways to call you to order.
So they are trained together with the general pool?
They are recruited specifically. I think somewhere 2008, 7, 8, the U.S. government supported the Customs Administration to set up the Internal Affairs Department. So some of them were even trained in U.S. and brought back here to do that work. So they are there.
Just a quick one. How many of them are in the system? How many are we looking at?
Quite
100, 200,
I cannot give that figure outright because that they fall under the Ethics and Good Governance Department. That's a separate department altogether. And they report directly to the Commissioner General on all misconduct of officers.
Yes. But that's very reassuring. That's a very good step.
You see, my brother, the only thing with us customs is that yesterday from the radio program, we went straight to our commissioner. We sat down with him for close to 1 hour. And these are some of the things that we were suggesting, that we have all these things, but we don't actually make it known to the public. That these are the things.
I didn't know of this. I know a few things but I didn't know of this that you just mentioned.
So from this expose, it's bringing a whole lot of things that hitherto we were doing it, but we were not making it public. We want to, by this expose, now come public, and some of these things that we are doing that the public are not aware, bring it to the fore through your help.
Definitely, and we'll collaborate on that. Let's bring in those who are very deeply affected by all of this when these oil products are brought from neighboring countries. Samuel Avala is president of the Oil Palm Development Association in Ghana. Samuel, a very good morning to you.
Incidentally, he's my brother.
I see. Hello, Samuel.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity, and good morning to you and my co-panelists in your studio, and of course to our viewers and listeners.
So just to start off the conversation, even before we get into what your reaction is about all of this, I know that for a long time people have said that oil palm is not as lucrative as it used to be, that people are not even cultivating it like we used to. What is the state of oil palm, plantations or farming in Ghana currently? Just briefly on that.
Yes, the state is still in the infant stage, I will say. I say so because Ghana is a net importer of palm oil for a long time. And that gap between our demand, our consumption, and then our production appears to be widening. And the reason is that as people move on the scale of living standards, they tend to eat more oil in the different forms, whether fried or baked or things like that. So I would say that we are in the process of growing the industry to the level that it will make the fullest impact on our economy. Let me give you some data. From 2019 down to 2021, our local palm oil production was just a little above 800,000 metric tons. That's below 1 million metric tons. Within the same period, we imported about 1.1 million metric tons. Now, this is outside the informal, the illegal, the smuggled ones, So it shows that our own production is not even 50% of our consumption. And when I say consumption, people should not think that palm oil is only used in your gobe and red bread. Soap has about 40 to even 80% of palm oil in it. The cooking oil we use, and most products you see the ingredients, they will list vegetable oil as part of the ingredient.
Right.
Most of them
biscuits and all of that, they are in there, in all of these.
So it is not true that the industry is not lucrative. In fact, the government has
the point wasn't that it's not lucrative, but the point is that over the years, like you rightly mentioned, it appears the gap in terms of our production and the expectation in terms of consumption has been widening, and that some are moving away from it because of some of the very influences we are talking about today. That's what I mean, not that it's not lucrative.
That is true. Some of the reasons people will be moving away from it is also because of this smuggling. Can you imagine that the oil palm has an economic life of about 25 years, and somebody wants to go into this business, and then he hears that people are smuggling in oil, making the local production unprofitable. Definitely nobody is going to put in such investment into a long-term venture when smuggling is, if you like, the Achilles heel that is going to wipe away your investment, because the local production will not be competitive, and therefore smuggling will have a field day. And that is why this matter you are discussing, and in fact this expose, it's a very important one. It has national dimensions to it. It has the hundreds and thousands of smallholder and outdoor farmers whose livelihood depends on their fruit, which has to be bought and paid for by the millers so that they can also live. I think that this thing must be taken more seriously, and I'm happy about the discussion and the contribution or the highlights coming from my colleagues in your studio. But what I want to say is that they seem to have a plan, they seem to have systems, but I guess they need to step back and evaluate the effectiveness of these systems, and they will come to the conclusion that I have come to, that it is not working. So something must change. If the systems and their measures are there the way they are saying, and smuggling is still having a field day, then something is not working, and it's got to change. And when they talk about punishment and things, I think it doesn't bite enough. Supposing they arrested somebody who is smuggling this goods, what happens to that person? Is the punishment deterrent enough for the next person to think again if they want to go into this? And as for the loss of revenue to the state, very huge. And I think that the government policy, which has brought about the Tree Crops Development Authority, which is supposed to develop some 6 tree crops, including oil palm, to the status or the standing that we have to go, it's not going to work if smuggling is allowed to go on the way it's going. And I want to suggest that, look, they can't fight this alone. And I'm happy that my brother Apia Boache is talking about Now they want to come out and let the public and actors in the various value chains know what they are doing so that we can work together, we can collaborate. For instance, if they have toll-free numbers that people, if you are just a passenger sitting in a VIP bus and you see they are loading this thing in, you can take a photo and then WhatsApp it to a source, and so that real time, these criminals and miscreants and anti-nation building thing that is going on, we can all work together to make sure that we curb it. But certainly, if this thing doesn't stop, then we will continue to be a net importer using millions of dollars to import more palm oil to meet our own demand, and even as we also export, and it's not going to bode well for the welfare of the economy. And even the ordinary Ghanaian and thousands who are in this value chain, especially outgrower and small holder farmers.
Of course, we know even now, as we're contending with very high depreciation on the part of our local currency, that wouldn't inure to our benefit, because that would be a flight of hard currency that we could have kept here to shore up our economy. But let me ask you, what has been the real impact of all of this? You speak about the sheer volume, 300 million Ghana cedis lost per year. Now, what has been the impact on you, the Oil Palm Development Association? Any impact that can be seen as tangible on the back of these happenings?
Yes, the impact you will see is that, first of all, we are not getting the required injection of investment into the space, right? And if you are in an industry that is not growing because there is no fresh injection, and even those who are in it, some want to exit, then that is a suicidal path for any value chain or industry, and for the state for that matter. So that is the impact we are getting. And we need to work on this very quickly so that investor confidence, and when I say investor, I'm not just talking about foreign investors, even local investors, the farmers in the rural areas whose livelihoods depend on this. You know, some people have felled their palms to produce palm wine and apetici. Now, palm wine and apetici is a one-time revenue. But if you leave the palm tree, you will harvest for more than 20 to 25 years. And that gives a more sustainable income streams and revenues for the farmers and all those who are engaged in the industry. So that's the effect that it is having. And the earlier we dealt with this, the better, so that we can really, really position oil palm to become, and you know what? The opportunity we have is that oil palm grows, if you take the equator, 0 degree, and then you go 10 degrees north, 10 degrees south, that belt around the globe, that is where oil palm can be grown in economic quantities. Now, anywhere beyond this range, they can grow oil palm economically. And happily, almost half of Ghana is within this oil palm growing belt. Now we have the opportunity to be able to produce enough for ourselves and export, especially under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area thing that is coming. This is one of the areas that we have a natural advantage, and we should not allow our own countrymen and women who are selfish and therefore will engage in smuggling to kill this industry. It's a very fine opportunity. It's the same like cocoa. Cocoa cannot be grown anywhere. Otherwise, some of those countries that consume cocoa would have grown it themselves. They cannot. Oil palm is in the same category. And we need to take full advantage of it, expand it, make sure it creates jobs and livelihoods for a lot of Ghanaian people. And I think that Joy FM, this is a very good work that you have done. And it shouldn't be a 9-day wonder. In fact, this thing has been done before, and each time we all go to sleep and the people wake up again and do their thing. I think this time we must find a way to do it consistently, sustainably for a long time, and make sure that we dealt a death blow to this menace that has bedeviled our nation for a long time.
Mr. Avala, hold for me. There are other very pertinent questions I have for you, so just hold for me. Let me come back into the studio briefly. I'll start with you, Benjamin. He suggests that these matters come up and then we tackle them. You know, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. We are active and all of that, and then we go to sleep. Have you been sleeping? Customs service, have you been sleeping on the job?
Not at all. We've not been sleeping. We actually appreciate his comments and his contributions. I think a few of them we have taken note, like he's suggesting that we have a toll-free number. I think we have, but it's up to the GRA, the CPA, the Corporate and Public Affairs to make it public for everybody to...
Wait, so if we have a toll-free number, how come it's not out there for people who see something to say something?
Say something. Actually, I agree with you that we've not publicized it enough, but it is on the GRA website. When you visit the GRA website right now, you see the toll-free number of the GRA, actually. So we actually appreciate some of these concerns that he has raised. We have not been sleeping as he suggested, but we admit that within the challenges that we even find ourselves, talking about the porous and vast nature of the borders, together with other challenges that we find ourselves, we are doing our best, except also to say that as a human institution, some of these things will come up. And when it comes up, the most important thing is to have measures to deal with it decisively. So we don't go to sleep, but the smugglers themselves are always a step ahead, as I said, because they take advantage of some of these loopholes that we have in the system. So it's a good thing. These measures will be sustained, I think, with a close collaboration with Joy or Multimedia, for that matter, and all other media houses, and especially the citizenry. We would be able to clamp down on these matters. I should say that it is a shared responsibility between customs and the citizens. They should be bold enough to give information, positive information that will lead to the arrest of some of these things. I think that we've been making serious arrests so far as smuggling is concerned. We are very much aware about the economic and the security impact of smuggling. You have done well, but you limited yourself to oil smuggling. We are tackling it holistically and looking at smuggling in general and other goods. In fact,
I mean, we know that fertilizer, for example,
fertilizer,
is smuggled.
exactly.
Cocoa is smuggled.
It's smuggled.
So, but you also admit that for an entity like ours, we can't do. We've done something on cocoa before,
exactly.
So you can say that bit by bit, we tackle them and bring them to your notice.
And we appreciate that a lot. So just to bring to the attention of the public that smuggling has security effect as well. If people decide to smuggle weapons and arms and ammunition in this era of terrorism, that itself is a problem to our country. And that is why my outfit, the counter-terrorism unit, is also in place to deal with some of these issues. So we are very ready to work with everybody, all stakeholders involved, to clamp down on this menace.
And I'll be coming to the bit about terrorism much later as we wrap the conversation. Before I go on the phone lines, very quickly, Mr. Apiabuache. So Benjamin talks about loopholes and the fact that these smugglers tend to be a step ahead. I see you're doing quite a lot, a whole lot. And I'm actually impressed by that bit you spoke about, these people in Mufti, kind of like intelligence when it comes to customs, who are sniffing out those who may be living lives that are not in tandem, in consonance with what they earn. But these loopholes, then, if you know there are these loopholes, and if you realize that smugglers are a step ahead, which shouldn't be, the question is, why has it been this way for so long? Very briefly, so I go over the phone lines.
Thank you very much. A friend of mine once said something to me. He said, the smugglers, it's like before you think, they have thought. Look at the concealment in charcoal. How would you even think that oil will be concealed in charcoal bags? That is their modus operandi. They sit and plan.
But if people will say, declare at the ports that they have brought in maybe chicken wings and it is 4 chickens, or it is this product and it turns out that there's a lot of fish, then people will find all means of consuming.
That brings us to the issue that when we talk of smuggling, it is not the physical smuggling that we see alone. Misdescription is smuggling. Undervaluation is smuggling. Concealment, as in the case of the oil in this charcoal, is also smuggling.
Right.
So we have various forms of smuggling that affects our socioeconomic fabric. It's a complex issue, as we have already reiterated.
Right.
It's a complex thing. We are not sleeping, as my brother purports to say. We are always alive. But just
I'll come back to you on what more we can do. Just a quick alert before I go on the phone lines. I went on your website. It's not so easy finding the toll-free number. I've still not found it, especially focusing on customs. So maybe that is a pointer to the fact that it should be more open, because someone may not have time to go and now be looking where is their toll-free number and all of that. That's something to say stock of. Let me bring in Nana Mafo Amaniampong, former member of parliament, Ifija Kwabre North. He's a former chair of Parliament's Trades and Industry Committee. Nana, a very good morning to you, sir.
Very good morning to you and your cherished listeners.
How much of a concern is it for you when you hear of these developments? Ghana losing, in terms of revenue, about 300 million Ghana cedis, all on the back of not just broad smuggling, focused on oil and other matters. What is your reaction to that?
Thank you for your nice introduction. But what else can I say? You see, as immediate past member of parliament, it's full glare. And when I'm walking around in and around Kumasi, and you hear people saying that Akufo-Addo, you say you are bringing dollar to dollar. You see, you just get sick. But I think I heard the tail end of the last contributor, and in fact, I think they are on top of their job. But the point is that this see something, say something. It's just some mantra. People don't really get the import of those things.
See something, say something is just a mantra?
You see, if we lose for the smuggling of oil alone, we lose $300 million. And you go to IMF, how much are they going to give you? So if you take units, let's say from oil alone, we lose so much. Then go to
let me just clarify. The figure I have is in cedis, unless there's something. So it's 300 million cedis.
Okay. Right. I thought it was dollars. But even if they are in CFA, they are all. It's money. You get the point. 300 million Ghana cedis can do a lot. If we are able to seal all these leakages. Only God knows how far we can go. You see, the gentleman just said that, we are losing so much from smuggling of oil. When I heard, I thought it was petroleum products and stuff like that. But later on, he explained. You see, I'm a farmer. Yeah, I don't plant palm oil, but I plant cocoa and other things, you see. And when you are in the farm, when you are tired and you sit down and you put the economy of Ghana, let's say, in your palm and you try to analyze, you realize that we shouldn't have reached here. We have more than enough to take care of us for the next even 20 years. But the bottom line is that the average Ghanaian is very dishonest. You see, that is the bottom line. The average Ghanaian, being an MP, being a teacher, being a journalist, being even those working at the presidency, the common denominator that you can find among these people, even the Ghanaian footballer, you see, is that he is absolutely dishonest. And when we are dealing with people who are innately dishonest, what else can you do? What else can you do? Because you can finish everything You package everything. You ask him to deliver to the next month. Before you are aware, he has diverted it. So all those people who work on that package, their work is fruitless. I hope you get me.
I get you. So break it down for me. I want to find out how much responsibility as former MP should authority, and I'm talking about the leadership of the country, so political will bear, and then how much responsibility should the ordinary Ghanaian, who will also maybe tell you that, oh, I'm just trying to get my nokofio, how much responsibility should be apportioned to the different sides on this?
No, you see, probably you did not get my point. Even somebody, if you were to arrest somebody and you hand him over to the judiciary, you think the guy did that because he thinks that even when you send him to the High Court or whatever, for justice, you will see the guy just walking away. So you realize that this has to call for national debate. You are doing a program just to create awareness. But we need to let Ghanaians know, like I was telling you, as immediate past member of parliament, I realize that most of the laws that we do or we come up with doesn't work, because when it comes to the executive for them to actually make sure that it works, at the end of the day, they sign it, then it comes to the masses, and then somebody arrests somebody, takes him to the police station. At the end of the day, they give it to the judiciary, and it doesn't work. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to call for national debate. Ask ourselves what is happening, that we are where we are, so that we all make sure that at least, because if you ask me, what can we do? You call for more, let's say, what we used to call them border guards. These slippages in there, we need to tell them. But it's the Ghanaian that you are going to put there. At the end of the day, it's also dishonest. So you come back to square one. That doesn't matter, I can prefer, because the bottom line is that you don't get people who work with wholeheartedness, be an MP, being an executive, being even you, the journalist. How many times your people don't compromise on their positions? You get the point. Somebody can give you information. You go in there, and at the end of the day, you bring a story which actually will make the whole thing look like, oh, it's not any serious thing and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly what to tell you. I'm telling you, to be honest with you.
Well, thankfully, that is why we are independent, fearless, and credible. And that is why we've come out with this hotline documentary, in fact. You would realize that a lot of the time when these things come up, it's from our stables, because we know we bear that responsibility to the ordinary Ghanaian. But you've sort of taken the wind out of my sail. I wanted to conclude with you on what you think, especially because of that crucial position you've occupied in Parliament on the Trades and Industry Committee. You're saying that from both ends there are problems, but how do we address the problems? We're here to find solutions. What do you think we can do?
One, I think, seriously, if we want to, it happens all over the world. In America, something happens, and then they bring a juicy package that if somebody can help us, exactly what we are doing, or Anas used to do, you get it. If you can help us to, let's say, grab these smugglers and this thing, there's this hopping, which shouldn't be too big for the unit which is responsible for it to pay. If you can help us to, let's say, trap these smugglers, maybe this and that package is in there for you.
So rewards. So rewards. We must incentivize it.
Reward systems.
Okay.
We need to, bring out juicy reward systems. And the reward not necessarily maybe the fiscal cash that will give to the person, but something, which will carry him to the next generation, so that at least who wouldn't want to be associated with Kwame Nkrumah or Dr. Buzia or Hilary Man, because these have been leaders of the country. I have a friend, Honorable Rekwedu. His father is this man. He's huge when it comes to Ghana legal systems. And he always reminds me that I'm a grandson of Chami Akutu, Bafo Akutu. If you Ray Akuto, if you read law,
right.
That man names, yes, he's Owurakuedu is direct, grandson of that man. So when you are working with him, he always want to remind you that, hey, don't forget, I'm the grandson of, let's say, Bafo Akutu. These are some of the things that I'm talking about. If we can bring genuine, lasting, reward system, I think people who even want to die, or even if they should die in line of action, they know that their death will not be in vain. Just as Kwame Nkrumah, no matter death that we throw at him, the fact still remains that he led the independent movement. You get it? But as you've told me, I think I can write something and then send it to you on WhatsApp so that when you finish your document, I think you can add it up.
Thank you, Honorable.
Right.
We'll maybe you can just stay on the line so my producers can engage you on that, and we'll see how you can share further thoughts of yours about how to solve this problem. Because we are not just here to talk about problems, we're here to find solutions. Nana Mafo Amaniampo is former Member of Parliament, Ifija Kwabren North, a former Chair, Parliament's Trades and Industry Committee. So you've heard different proposals, and he's saying one of the mechanisms you can use is incentivize it so that people will actually see something and want to say something, because they know that if I get my information right, I could also get some nokofio into my pocket for being a good citizen. Good call?
Yeah. Very, very, very apt. And
is this something you do already?
It's already in place. Okay. I think yesterday on radio, we did mention that we have what we call Informants Awards. And we were trying to educate the public that it's there for you, for your take.
You see, another thing we are not aware of.
Give us the information, credible one, we arrest, and you are the person to enjoy. It's there. So we want to use this medium to, as it were, inform everybody, every citizen, that when it comes to fighting smuggling, it's not one man's business. It's a very big and Herculean task. We have Informants Awards. Please give us the credible information, not the ones that I quite remember some time ago we were operating at some place, and there were two factions. They were aiding the smugglers. So they will come and tell you, my brother, the people are passing here, so let's go and waylay them. So we'll go and waylay them. By the time we realize they've passed the other side and gone. Not that type of information. Give us credible information, and I'll show you, you will never regret. And your identity is over 100% protected. That one will give you that full assurance. But give us credible information, and you will never regret. It's there for you.
You've heard Mr. Apiabuachi on that. He says, give us the information and we will give you the necessary reward. So if you have any information of people engaging in smuggling, you can always bring it up. But going back to what Mr. Avala said, I want you to respond to some of what he said before I go back to him for some further thoughts. He makes mention of the fact that your system is not punitive enough. It doesn't serve as enough of a deterrent for people, so that you know that if these are going to be the consequences, you would want to think not just twice, thrice, 4 times before you stick your neck out. That is one. And he also talks about collaboration. That was where he also mentioned the toll-free number. Any quick responses to that?
All right, thank you. I think that I do not agree to the fact that our systems are not punitive enough. As a matter of fact, we have one of the strictest laws when it comes to customs and customs offenses. In fact, when you are caught in the act of smuggling, your means of conveyances, including the items that you are smuggled, everything is forfeited, is seized to the state. And then on
So you mean, for example, a truck, whatever that is found, even if let's assume I am the owner of the truck. I have no idea my truck is being used by maybe the person I've given it out to smuggle. It means my truck will be confiscated.
Exactly. Unless you are able to prove that really you were not aware of the whole situation. By your driver, the means of conveyance, that's what the law says, that it has to be confiscated to the state. And then on top of that, you are going to be prosecuted for smuggling because it's a criminal offense. So it's very punitive. It's very punitive.
But from the standpoint of officers, how punitive it is?
Yes. So I think that we've spoken about.
We've spoken a bit about it, but he's obviously not convinced.
He's not convinced. So we can assure him that, just as we said, depending on the magnitude of the offense, of course, each case will have to be treated according to its own merit. So you can't bunch every case together. But there are punitive mechanisms. I mean, there's nothing more punitive than sentencing somebody for such breaches. So we have such punitive measures in place. And like what we've been saying, just because we don't make it public, so people think that, nothing is happening. But customs, I quite remember yesterday I made mention on radio that we are one of the security institutions that disciplines officers the most. Interdicting a batch of 300 officers. I don't think it has ever happened in Ghana before, but we did that. So these are measures that's supposed to serve as deterrent. But of course, I mean, there is always a bad nut. People who always want to dare the system, but the fact that you get one or two people doing it doesn't mean that the punishments are not punitive enough. But now, coming back to the collaboration as he spoke about, I think just when I mentioned, I had a message from our corporate and public affairs department sending us the toll-free numbers. If you don't mind, we can push it on air.
No, yes.
So for the GRA toll-free number is 0800 900 110. 0800 900 110.
So that is 0800 900 100.
110.
110.
Exactly.
So 0800 900 110.
Exactly. And then we have two WhatsApp lines. If you see something, you can just take a shot and then send it to the WhatsApp line. The appropriate unit.
You can put the WhatsApp line.
Okay, so the WhatsApp line, the first one is 055 299 0000. 055 299 0000. And then the second one, which is also a WhatsApp line, is 0200 631 664. 0200 631 664. So these are our lines out there. If you see something, you ought to say something. You just have to take a shot of it. And then beyond this, we've also been collaborating.
We would have charged you for this, but it's all in the national interest.
It's
all in the national interest.
We totally agree. Thank you for the opportunity. So in terms of collaboration, we've also been collaborating with other security institutions at the borders. You realize that, as I said, the border is so vast and porous. And because of that, we need the assistance of the other agencies at the borders. Currently, there is the integrated border management system in place that will ensure that we collaborate, we share resources, we share intelligence. So if you are an immigration officer and you see somebody smuggling, you ought to call customs, and then we collaborate with you, and then we clamp down on these activities. So that collaboration is very key.
I would have reserved this for later, but for the sake of time and bringing in Mr. Avala, I just want to share these questions to you. Very brief answers.
Okay.
The first one, so you talk about human resource and logistics.
Okay.
And it's something that we've known over time that you have constraints with.
That's correct.
What are the constraints in terms of the numbers? How many more people would you require at the borders to ensure that you can clamp down further? Because it's a people thing. The more people you have on hand, the more you can be, your presence will make them also, some of them, it would be a deterrent. For others, you have to get into the matter. I'll just reference the police visibility teams that are all over the place. I've just been taking a look at them. Some of them, they are just there. They're doing nothing, but doing nothing not in the sense of they are there. The mere presence there will prevent someone from... I see motorbikes now getting to certain points and they stop because of the police visibility teams. So that sort of presence is also needed. What are the dynamics in that respect? And for you, I would have you address the claim. Some people say that you shield your own. That when issues come up, you act like, oh, we are doing something, but in the end, you bring them back to you. I'll start with you, Mr. Akakpo.
All right, thank you.
Please, so I bring in Mr.
Yeah, sure. If I knew you were going to ask for the exact numbers, I would have consulted the human resource department before I came here. But I can't give the exact figures.
I don't want exact numbers, but I'm saying,
I can say that.
How many do you feel? Would you need twice the number you have? 3 times, 4 times?
Yes, I will even say that we need more than 4 times the number we have currently.
More than 4 times the number you have in customs?
Exactly, because you just alluded to the fact that, you see, the mere presence of personnel at the borders serve as deterrent. And that is how come we have a preventive department. So the preventive department is actually supposed to prevent the smuggling from occurring. But in case it occurs, they should be able to detect and apprehend the smugglers. So we need serious numbers. If you have gone to the borders recently, you realize that our numbers are not that encouraging. So we need to increase the numbers over there. Not just the numbers, but we also believe that with the assistance of technology, because I think with the help of management, GRA management, they were able to acquire some drones for us. And we believe that when we're able to deploy some of these drones, they can help us in getting surveillance and then deploying to clamp down on some of these activities.
That's a good one. So that's another novelty. It's something new, right? The drone technology you're harnessing. So even if you don't have men on the ground, you can send these drones out to survey the area to give you a clue of whether there's something going on. Good step.
But of course, when you get the drones, you still need a personnel.
You still need personnel too. But at least you can have one person managing rather than going transport and all of that. You tend to shield your own. That's the accusation.
Yes. As I indicated earlier on, we don't shield anybody. But what happens is that, as I said, we don't publicize the punishment that has been meted out to our own. And
is that something you think you should start doing?
Yes, yesterday.
So that people will have that. So that people will have that confidence that, oh, because look, honestly, if in this instance, Kwame Kweku Yao are pointed to, and you do find them, because you mentioned that there's going to be a probe. I'll come to you on that, Mr. Mekai. And you do mention that there will be a probe and they are found culpable. And I don't know what happened to Kwame Yao and the rest. My assumption would be that, oh, there they are walking around. What happened to them? That's what the ordinary Ghanaian would think.
So we assure you, are giving you the assurance that we don't shield our own. They are put through the due process. And what they are found of, they are punished accordingly. But we don't come out. But these days, as yesterday, we were in the commissioner's office, and I think this thing came out. That we have been accused most of the time that we are shielding our own and this because we do not, as it were, publish it. So we were saying that those times we had something we called omnibus. And the omnibus, it was a quarterly bulletin, and all offenses and all occurrences that has done what has been happening to them is published, so everybody knows within the system that, hey, this person
within the system being within customs, but not outside.
Right. So we were saying that, yes, why can't we do the same in the public, that from time to time we come up to say that this and this thing happened, and these are the punitive measures that we've taken against our officers. So I should think that our current commissioner, being the head of our good governance, he bought into it and said, yes. So we know very soon something will come out like that. We don't shield our own. We take them through the due process.
Expect something from the Customs Service. I know you are itching to say something. I'll come back to it. But let me bring in Samuel Avala, President, Oil Palm Development Association, as we get ready to wrap up the conversation. I'd like to find out from you, though, how strong is your group? How many members do you have? And have the numbers dwindled in recent times?
Thank you very much. The numbers haven't dwindled, just that the rate at which we are growing is not enough to bring our production level to at least import parity. So that is where...
So can we start with the numbers? How many are you?
Okay. The artisanal millers, those who have small mills, they, on our record, are upwards of 3,000. And they are distributed across the eastern, western, central, Ashanti, BA, and some part of Volta region. That is just the artisanal millers. But when it comes to the farm outgrower farmers, they are in about 150,000 of them. And we are still in the process of registering. So this is very conservative. And when it comes to those working in the large-scale plantations, you are going to have another 120,000 people living on the plantations and working in the formal setting. Now, when you take those who are in the manufacturing sector, like soaps, cooking oil, because the factories are more sophisticated, the numbers are smaller, but they are not going to be less than 50,000. So you are talking about upwards of 500,000 people directly engaged in this value chain. And for each person, if they have 4 family members, then you can say we are talking about 2 million people who are impacted directly by this value chain. But let me quickly make a few interjections. First of all, let me apologize to my colleagues if they think that using the figurative language when I said we sleep on the job, that is not what I meant. It's just a figurative language. But then also, let me also address the thing about their need for labor, for more men and women on the ground. In fact, when we engaged the commission, the customs some time back, that was the biggest problem. And they actually needed some vehicles. They also needed men and women. And we are sure that the NAPCOP trainees some will be inducted into the customs and they will help. But I don't agree with my colleagues that they need about 4 times the number now. These days, technology and labor efficiency and productivity is very much available, and they don't need to even double the current numbers. I think if they get 1 or 2 helicopters in addition to the drones, they will be able to patrol vast areas of the land with cameras, powerful cameras, and just double the numbers without giving them the instruments to work. It will come back to the same thing. So I would think that perhaps we in industry must also find a way of supporting them with some of the logistics and things that they need so that we can fight this thing together. I would like to suggest that the toll-free number, they should emboss it on all their checkpoints and also at the lorry terminals so that it is easy for any, and then including the WhatsApp numbers. Now it will become public. Now they say that when they punish their people, they only publish it internally. I think they should go public. And then also the people, the smugglers themselves, they should also be published. You see, when you are in a community, a neighborhood, and you hear that, oh, a CDC has been mentioned on radio or on TV or in the newspapers as having engaged in smuggling, which is anti-nationalism and all of that, I think that the whole society and the stigma that it brings will help to deter some. It's not by any means going to make it completely eradicated, but certainly it is going to reduce this to perhaps the barest minimum. Finally, let me say that one of the things that they should also do is to go to the markets and then identify the various oils and products and try and trace back. So where did you get this from? What is the source? That will also be a sure way of tracing back, and then you will get to a brick wall. It means that this thing did not come through approved means, because they cannot show you documents of clearing from a port and the duties they have paid, and then they come in whoever brought it. I think that they should use more scientific and perhaps smarter ways, and together with us, the public and the value chain actors in the industry, we should be able to be telling a better story next time round.
So I'll be giving each of you, those 2 in the studio and you as well, just about a minute to wrap. You've already proffered solutions, so I want you to quickly do this. There's also the issue of Sudan dye. I feel it would be irresponsible to have this conversation without that. The Food and Drugs Authority often brings it up. Sudan dye, that some of those who produce oil palm, mix with their oil palm products. How are you dealing with that situation? And you see that Malaysia came to us for palm. And now look at what they are doing and look at where we are in terms of production. How do we catch up? If you can do that in some 40 seconds or to a minute.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sudan for dye is a menace. We have been tackling it. We have worked with the standards, the Ghana Standards Authority, Food and Drugs Authority. We have worked with the oil palm, the OPRI, Oil Palm Research Institute of Ghana. And now our artisanal millers, those who mill or produce the palm oil in smaller quantities, small scale millers, that is the chain where the tendency to add the Sudan is. And it's not even the millers, it is those who buy and send to the market centers. So they drop the Sudan dye in the containers, and then the miller only fills it with the oil, not knowing what is already in the container. So it calls for systems and quality control and quality assurance. I can assure you that the Artisanal Millers Association, who are the subset of our Value Chain Association, have developed an app which is going to be rolled out widely so that our oils must be branded so that you can trace back to who produced it. Then if there is any incidence of Sudan 4 dye, just as we are talking about tracking smugglers, it can be traced to a miller, and then they can be punished accordingly. And I think that is working, and I can assure consumers that they should feel free and consume their gobe and kotumbre with.
How do we catch up with Malaysia very quickly? Like, that was the second bit.
Catching up. Thankfully, we now have the Tree Crops Development Authority, an authority that is looking at 6 tree crops, minus cocoa, but rubber, mango, cashew, shea, oil palm, and then, so 6 of them. And the authority is working at developing the space so that there will be more production. And as you know, tree crops are tree crops. They have a long gestation. So I think that within 5 to 10 years, we should be coming to the place where we are self-sufficient so that we don't need to import, and then we can move further to be net exporters of this commodity.
Mr. Avala, we're immensely grateful that you took the time to join us for this discussion. Samuel Avala is President, Oil Palm Development Association. Let me come into the studio and wrap with Mr. Bekai and Mr. Appiah Boakye. I'll start with you, Mr. Appiah Boakye. Or is it Mr. Bekai, rather, because I think you had something on your mind. So final thoughts. There's also been talk about the fact that there are foreigners in the value chain, in the smuggling value chain. It's not just Galamsey, even in smuggling, they are also there. Wrap-up comments.
All right, so I think that in that regard, that is why we are in collaboration with the Ghana Immigration Service, and occasionally we do intercept some of these things together. So that is well assuring that it will be a thing of the past. Now, talking about, I think I like some of his suggestions, especially when I heard that we needed helicopters. I think that is in order, because when you go to Nigeria Customs has more than 3 helicopters for border patrols. And I think Ghana, it's high time we look at some of these things to resource customs. We agree perfectly that we need to publicize a lot about some of the things that we do. At least we have positive stories as well that we are not publicizing. And so even in the fight against smuggling, we have officers who have lost their lives. People who have been killed, but all of them are shielded. We don't hear some of these news often. So we have taken this advice in good faith. We also want to encourage multimedia, and just like any other media house, to take special interest in our operation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Appiah Boakye.
Well, one thing that Mr. Avala said, and I also buy into, is that we have to at least emboss our toll-free, not even at the lorry stations, even at our checkpoints.
Okay.
That people will, when they get to our checkpoints, they can even access our toll-free numbers, and if they have information to pass it on to us, they do so quickly. And I also conclude by saying that, as we did indicate in the beginning, fighting smuggling is collective responsibility. We want to urge everybody, the citizen, whoever has any information, please help us with this so that we can all bring smuggling to the barest minimum. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. And if you see something, say something, definitely. The number has been rolling on your screens. That's the toll-free number, 0800 900 110. 0800 900 110. We've been engaging Benjamin Akakpo, Senior Revenue Officer, Commander, Custom Counter-Terrorism Unit, GRA Customs Division. I did say I was going to ask you a question on terrorism, but we'll save that for another day.
Sure.
And Ernest Apiabuache, Chief Revenue Officer in charge of Preventive TEMA, GRA Customs Division. Once more, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Great. Just stay with us briefly. We're taking a break now, and when we return, there's a demonstration ongoing in the Volta region. Why? We'll bring you the answers after the break.
You're welcome back to the AM show. As Benjamin mentioned, before the break, we will be going to the Volta region because angry residents of Ketu South Municipality are today demonstrating against the operations of Seven Seas Company. Today's demonstration is as a result of a woman and her 3 children who lost their lives near Denu, where the company allegedly had their dike created without any signposts to warn residents of danger. Ivy Setoji joins us with details. Ivy, good morning. Where are you and what can you tell us?
Currently, we are walking from Denu to Toko, where the district assembly is located. The residents of Ketu South, hundreds of residents actually are this morning demonstrating against the Seven Seas. That's the salt company located in Athena. Their operations, they are saying that government should halt the operations of this company because their operations are causing havoc to the communities along the Ketu South municipality. They are also saying that they only gave them permit for Adina, but currently they have taken over the whole of Ketu South. And so because of that, they have also done some number of feet in the areas, taking over the lagoon, so the people are unable to fish. Recently, about a week ago, a woman and her 3 children, a pregnant woman and her 3 children lost their lives as a result of the dike. So they are asking government to do something about the situation. So as if you can see them, they are marching in their numbers and they are heading towards the Ketu South Municipal Assembly to present their petition to the MP for Ketu South, Master Lukudo, to be given to the president so that something can be done. They actually want the sea salt company to be moved from the district. They don't want their operations anymore because according to them, it is causing a lot of havoc in the community.
All right, thank you very much, Ivy Setoji, with those details. We do know that they'll be heading, giving off. All right, so Ivy, if it's possible, if you're still on the line, can you speak to some of the residents? Can you speak to some of the residents?
Okay, so I'm going to try my best. I want to get out of the noise and see if we can get some other residents to speak with. So, but most of them would like to speak in their native language, that is the language. But if you can give me a minute, I am trying to run to a resident so we can talk to that resident. We have an assemblyman for the area. The unit committee secretary for the area. So tell us what your problem is here.
Thank you very much, They have come to a notice for some and we asked them why, all the reasons they are there, and they said they were given the place to do their short-minded. And so we asked them to create. So what do you want government to do? We want government to intervene and move the fight from the lagoon. This is why we get our lagoon. You want the activity to the fight to stop. Also, as you can hear, they are asking the activities of the white men, that's the India, the salt mining company, to be stopped immediately so that other calamities will be stopped, because this, according to them, is causing a lot of havoc in the district.
If it's possible, can you speak to other people on the ground?
Yes, sir. So, we'll get other people on the ground.
Ivy Setoji spoke to some of them on the ground.
Government should be conscious of what is happening. Our people are dying. So we are calling on all those who matter. In this case, that the lives of the people of Ketisaf matter. They should come out and stop the mayhem that is being perpetrated in our lands. The citizens are dying. The activities of the services is destroying the livelihood of the people. So we are calling on them to give us that life that we have as a people. We have the legitimate right to demonstrate our freedom. But when they fail, we shall proceed to the court and then seek justice for the lives of the people that have lost their lives.
What do you really want government to do about the system, the 7 states?
What we want government to do is the government should give us a clear-cut roadmap on the activities of the 7 states. We are not aware of the environmental impact assessment that the government has given to the people. We want to know how the government is, how the contract is being awarded to the people. We understand that their contract has not been extended to this place. The extension is illegal. The extension, we understand, is illegal. So government should give us a clear-cut roadmap of how things are going to be done.
That our leaders have failed us. The lagoon is for all of us. So they cannot give it to the Indians. They cannot give it to the Indians to develop, and after developing it, it will be killing us. So we are out here to tell the government, to tell the municipal assembly, and to tell the 7 Seas Company Limited that what they are doing, they are killing us. And we don't want our leaders to betray us.
We'll give you updates as and when we can in our subsequent bulletin. But now let's talk about the weather. And joining me for that is Joshua Samuel, who's the senior forecaster at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Good morning, Joshua. Joshua, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
All right. Now, first of all, it's been raining quite a lot recently, and we know that we are not in the rainy season. Can you tell us what the problem is?
Well, a very good morning to everyone watching. Actually, for us in southern Ghana, this is our minor rainfall season almost setting in. For most parts of the middle and transition areas, I can say that the minor rainfall season has started. It's yet to engulf majority of the coastal sector. So in the next few days or weeks, we should expect that the minor rainfall season will set in for coastal Ghana as well. So it's not really surprising. We are actually transitioning from the dry period that we had into the minor rainfall season for southern Ghana.
All right, so talking about, we might see some rains in the coming days and weeks. Can you give us a forecast of this week's weather?
Well, for the week, during the start of the week, we saw some rainfall conditions for areas in the coastal, majority of the southern portions of the country. Today, however, we expect that for Greater Accra, will just be clouds and some slight rain. Chance of having any high impact rainfall is very, very low within the day. But for northern and middle sectors, there's still a possibility of rainfall within the next 24 hours. For midweek, we expect just less distribution of rainfall across the country. Just some few areas will be getting rains within the country for midweek. More brighter conditions will be observed during the midweek. But over the weekend, we expect we'll be getting some wider distribution of rainfall for the entire country. So coastal, forest, and middle portions of the country are all likely to get some rains over the weekend. So we expect more rain within the weekend for the country.
All right, so that means we should prepare for a wet weekend. Is that so, Joshua?
Yes, that's the case, especially for places within the middle sector. That's around the Ashanti, Eastern, Volta, Western North regions. But for us in the Greater Accra, Central, and Western regions too, there's a possibility of rainfall, even though the probability is higher over the inland parts of the coastal sector. So Greater Accra areas around Pokwasi, Masaman have a higher probability of experiencing the rain than Kasoa and than Teshi, Nungwa, Tema areas. But still, there's a possibility of rainfall for majority of the coastal sector.
Now, is there anything we should look out for example, next week? Rains, more rains?
So like I was saying, the active rainfall is gradually shifting from the northern portions of the country into the south. And so now areas in the transition zone, that's around the Oti, Bono, East, Ahafo regions, are getting frequent rains at the moment. And they are gradually shifting towards the south. The sun crossed the equator on Friday last week, that's September 23rd. And so we expect that we'll be getting warmer conditions, which will bring in the rainfall for the minor rainy season. And so in the next week or two, we should anticipate some frequent rainfall, especially it will start in the middle sector around the eastern Ashanti regions before it gets to the coast. So places within the forest zone should expect frequent rainfall within the next week or two. But for coastal Ghana, we might get occasional rainfall, but it will not be as frequent as the ones in the middle and the north transition areas of the country.
And Joshua, do you think that this is climate change at work?
Well, we can say it's climate variability. The season has not really changed. It's still around the same time when we get the rains. But then there's been some variations or small delays or whatever we want to call it. So every season has its own changes, some small changes that happen every season. You can either have an early onset or a late onset. You can have early cessation or late cessation. So there's not a fixed date or time for rainfall to occur in southern Ghana. But we have a period around which we get the rain. So it hasn't really changed, but we've seen some small variations every year, which is not really enough to call it a climate change. But we can say there's variability in the climate in terms of rainfall. But for temperature, we are seeing a trend, which is an increasing trend. So we can say there's a change in temperature. But for rainfall, we will call it a variability rather than a change.
And you mentioned there'll be more rains across the country. How heavy will it be and what can we do?
Well, in the past few years, we've realized that the minor rainfall season has actually been giving us some high amounts of rainfall. So it's possible that we'll be getting some heavy rainfalls within the minor rainfalls, that's October and November, even extending into parts of December before we go into the dry season. But one thing is, for us in the eastern coast, that's around the Greater Accra and Volta regions, we don't really get frequent rains. But then the few times that we get the rains, they tend to be a bit heavy and they cause some harm and havoc to life crops within the area. And so we should be quite wary and cautious in the way we do our things around this time. It has not fully started now, so we should take advantage of this period, prepare and get ready for the rainfall season itself to set in.
Joshua Samoa is a senior forecaster with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Thank you so much for those updates. You're still watching the AM Show. We'll be back after this. You're welcome back to the AM Show. Now, on the 5th of October, the world will celebrate Teachers all over. And I mean, of course, why not celebrate them? They're the ones that made us, after all. And here in Ghana, we'll be talking about the Best Teacher Awards. And joining me for that is Renee Senyo Kwame Koko, who's the Deputy General Secretary of NAGRET. And we also have Dennis Osewusu, who's the PRO of the National Teaching Council. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for joining me.
Good morning.
Now, let's talk about the history of the Best Teacher Awards.
The Best Teacher Awards actually started in 1994 with the intention of trying to motivate teachers to stay in the job.
Okay.
There was this exodus of teachers trying to leave the country for other countries, or because they think the system wasn't favoring them. So most of the teachers in Ghana were running to Nigeria, then called Agege days. So people were just moving out of the country. So the government of the day then thought it wise to do something to make sure teachers enjoy what they do in the country. So they introduced this award scheme that will at least be a motivation for teachers so that at the end of the day, they don't run out of the country. So that was basically the main idea. But as we moved on, there were so many dynamics as to how we're going to do the organization and the best practices to be on board. So basically, that is how the award scheme came into place.
And has it served its purpose? Have teachers stayed in the country? And have you made their work more favorable?
Why not? It's something that every country is trying, most especially in Ghana now. I can tell you for a fact that today, as we speak, we have a lot of teachers in the country. Unlike before, where when they get trained, they just find themselves out there. A lot of teachers are in the country now. So it tells you that, at least if not anything, the purpose at which we will try to make sure we get people for the classroom in Ghana, it's achieved. Yeah, not really because of the award scheme, but there are so many factors in place that have made a Ghanaian teacher still allowed to teach in Ghana.
Would you like to share some of those factors?
We all know from training system where teachers were given allowance, that they were part of the motivation factors where teachers were given allowance. So we were getting more teachers, more students who had completed the senior secondary school trying to go to the colleges because of maybe financial problems here and there. But they didn't know when they go into teaching. Let me use myself as an example. I found myself in College of Education because of my background. But in entering the college, I just fell in love with the job. And here am I today. So it tells you that when you go to the job, most people go to the job, not necessarily they want to impact, but you go and then you see you transforming minds and the love you have for the job, you even turn out to ignore the motivation factor and then chase that happiness, the zeal of trying to transform somebody who came to the classroom with an empty mind, nothing to show, but in going with something. You meet some of your students and some are lawyers, doctors, in other professions, and you find yourself still in the classroom, still transforming minds. Then that becomes, let's say, one aspect of the job that you enjoy most doing. Because at the end of the day, you have been able to transform somebody who was a nobody to somebody.
Okay. Now let's talk about the Ghana Teacher Awards and the selection criteria.
All right, thank you. Before you be selected, you should be a teacher for the past 5 years.
Okay.
You should be licensed. It's a modern thing that we had started doing. You should be licensed teacher. And also, you should be a teacher in good standing. That means that it's not like any teacher at all, but a teacher that is able to motivate a student to learn, use other means, be innovative and creative. You know, we have challenges in the classroom, and not all of them that government is able to provide for you. But as a teacher, you should be able to find your way out, be creative, let the student follow you, and make sure that your class is very effective. And as he said, our job is to train the mind. So it's your job to be able to train the children, make sure that they're up to the task. These are the criteria that we'll see in you. But there'll be a lot of series of things that you do, like you go for interview, panel interview, look at your work. It's a new thing that introduced now called portfolio building, where whatever you are doing in your classroom or your environment, community, you build a portfolio, evidence of those things. The team will look at all those things. Then they will present you for the interview, and when you passed the interview, you get the award.
Now, so how does it work? Do teachers, vote for each other or nominate each other? Or do I, as a teacher who's been teaching for the past 5 years with my license and in good standing, do I say that, oh, I feel like I can, I deserve this award? How does it work?
Like in the olden days,
yeah,
it's your school that will nominate you.
Okay.
But now, you can nominate yourself.
Okay.
Your school can also nominate you. Even the teacher union can also nominate you.
Yeah.
And even your community members can say that this man is doing very well.
Okay.
They can nominate you.
Okay.
So it's not like voting. You nominate you and you go through the process.
Okay.
You can also.
All right.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things we do now. Some years back, people were saying, how did you even go about getting these people for this awards?
Yeah.
And so we say now, it's open to everybody. If only you fall within the number of years, as my senior brother said, you are in good standing, you've gone through all this process, and you believe that you are doing something exceptional that the world should know. We have a portal where you go and upload your data. You tell us everything, evidence of what you have done, everything. So we have assessors who sits on your application, and then we shortlist the best. After shortlisting, you are called for interview.
Okay.
Then we have a team that goes to the field to really authenticate what you have uploaded.
Okay, okay.
Yes, so it wouldn't be like we will sit somewhere and then say, okay, because of what you have uploaded, you have the best story. So this for we have evidence-based where we go and see whether all those things are in place.
Okay.
So as we speak, a team is on the ground doing this, and we even do it at your blind side.
That's what I was
So you don't fake anything. Yeah, we do it at your blind side. So they've gone for interview. We are through with that session. As we speak, there's a team on the ground doing serious investigation about them, but they don't know. The teachers themselves don't know when the team is coming.
It's coming, yeah.
Yes. And we don't meet you. We meet the people in the community to look at the community engagement that you say you participate, the things you have stated. We go through all these, and then at the end of the day, the best takes it home. And it's a good thing because this time we even sent messages to all teachers who have registered on the Ghana Teacher Portal.
Well, when you say all teachers, do you have the numbers?
Yeah, we have a portal.
So how many teachers are we talking about?
Okay, as we speak, we have about 400 teachers on our portal now, both private and public sector.
Okay.
So we sent bulk message to all of them, inviting them to apply for the teacher prize. Notwithstanding, we also did a lot of adverts in the dailies and then used all our social media platforms to do this. So it was well publicized for teachers to apply. But those who apply, they are the people going to be looked into. Yeah. So with this opportunity, I would advise that when the time comes and you believe that you are a good teacher and you have done something that the world should know, why not? You go ahead and do it. Since the introduction of this, we've had a lot of teachers being recognized globally. Okay. Yes, in 2018, because of the criteria we are moving on, we have moved from the normal Best Teacher Awards to now Ghana Teacher Prize, where our main focus is to mimic the global standard. Okay. So because of that, in 2018, we had a rep from Ghana being part of the top 50 global teachers. Oh, nice. Yes, and in just 2021, we had the top 10 teachers. There was a Ghanaian teacher who was part. Okay. Mr. Ivan Sode, a teacher at Atimota School. Okay. All because we were able to look at the global criteria and we tone on that direction and we got it. And 2019, 2020, best AU teachers were from Ghana.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
So what is it about these teachers that makes them stand out?
You see, there are so many things we look at. First one, at least recognition of a teacher's achievement. Okay. You can't be a teacher and you call yourself a best teacher without any achievement. Okay. So you give us evidence of that. We look at it. and then achieving demonstrable student learning outcomes in the classroom.
Okay.
So, but that is just a minute of it, because you can be a good teacher, but some of your students may disappoint you.
Yeah.
So that is not, but at least we should see that success from that end, that your students are also doing what? Well in the society. Not necessarily academic way, but in terms of their social life and everything. What impact are you bringing? Well, when I was in the classroom, for instance, there were some students that I took them as an assignment, where I need to make sure they come out of their problem, not even academic, but then they had some issues at home that needed urgent attention. So if you're a teacher, have you done that? Have you helped them come out of that problem? What have you identified?
Okay.
So these are some of the things we look at. And then ensuring learners receive value-based education. The world is gradually becoming a global village. What are the best practices you have infused in your education, in your studies? So these are the things we want to see.
And obviously these things, you'll find them out when you're on the ground.
Sure.
Yeah, when you are seeing her or him in practice.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the role of the teacher unions as far as the Ghana Teacher Prize is concerned.
Thank you. We, as a teacher union, our job is to make sure that we motivate our teachers to live to the tasks ahead of them. Then, so we must prepare them in a way that they can meet this criteria that NTC is looking for.
Okay.
So, for example, we organize seminars for them and tell them how to perform their duties as teachers. There is a union that even have a room where there's TLM prepared. They'll come and even learn how to prepare, take some and leave some there to go and be effective in your classroom. You also to make sure that they follow the code of conduct in the teaching service so that they will not be found wanting. We don't want to go against the rules. So our job is to prepare them in such a way that they can be able to meet the standard required by NTC, that when they apply for this best Ghana Teacher Prize, they'll get the prize. And we're happy that the last one is a good member, and he's on board now helping teachers to do the right thing or to know what's expected of them as teachers in the classroom and in their community so that they can get the award.
So do you take them through workshops? What exactly
Yes, I
do you
said
do?
seminars. Like we organize a seminar at a place, invite resource personnel to come and speak to them on what they expect them to do.
Okay.
And those that need some aid, we want to prepare some TLM or we prepare them so that they can be able to perform their function properly in the classroom and the community so that they can get the award.
They can get the award. In 2022, why the need for the Ghana Teacher Prize?
Ghana Teacher Prize has always been a motivation to teachers. And we think this year is not exception.
Yeah.
Since we can all say that things are not the way we are expecting. We had an issue of COVID where school had to break for some months, but we are back to the classroom. And teachers are still doing their best. So why not?
Yeah.
We can't break it. Even in the heat of COVID, we still organize the awards.
Yeah.
Because that was the time they needed it most. Because you were in your normal way of doing things. Something came in, you try to fuse in other things to still make sure you execute your mandate perfectly.
Yeah.
So during the COVID era, most teachers were still working. They were still working, using other means to make sure they read their students.
Yeah.
So if you are here today, why do we say that today it's not necessary for us to recognize them? And it's a yearly program that we cannot compromise. Every year, we must recognize the good works of our teacher. And it's a very juicy package for teachers.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the juicy package very soon. But is it late for someone to nominate someone? Is it?
Oh, it's late. We've gone through the year's activity. Maybe if you have any nomination, it can be done next year.
Oh, done next year. Okay. So now let's talk about what goes into the event, the organization, so time, venue, when, where, all of those things.
This year's venue is at Tamale. UDS.
Okay.
But before the main program on 5th, there's a 2-day program called Symposium and Presentation of Papers.
Okay.
Where individuals and unions given special topics to present in order to build the Ghana Teacher Prize. So on Monday and Tuesday, there will be this symposium, exhibition, and presentation of papers from individuals in the unions before the main program on Wednesday at Tamale UDS.
Okay. What time?
The main program starts at 9 o'clock.
Okay. So, for example, if a teacher who's in Accra has been nominated and is probably part of the top 10, are you going to fly them? Are you going to, like, do you offer, because you said juicy packages.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about those juicy packages.
Okay. I like where you start your question from, but you see, on the most serious note, you are a nominee. Don't worry.
Okay.
If you want to do your flight, it's open. Because when you come, you are not going home empty-handed. As we speak, we have top 15 finalists.
Top 15.
For the teacher category.
Yeah.
And then we have 5 finalists for the non-teaching category. And then now we have a new baby on board. That is best teacher in leadership and administration. So my brother, for instance, who is into leadership, would love to maybe apply through that side. But you should be a teacher, like me. If I've not been part of the award scheme, this is the best platform for me because I'm a teacher in administration. I could easily apply and then get it. So we have teachers, directors of education, headmasters in the senior high schools, and then even some in the basic schools. You can apply on that.
You also mentioned non-teaching.
Yes, we have non-teaching category.
So that category is what exactly?
For people working in our schools, in the education sector who are not teachers.
Okay.
So we call them non-teaching staff.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they are the people we also recognize during that day. And so the best teacher is going home with we call it the Ghana's most outstanding teacher.
Ghana's most outstanding teacher.
Yes. Going home with a 3-bedroom apartment worth 300,000 Ghana cedis.
Oh wow!
Yes, that is how far we are today.
Oh wow, and that's
then,
lovely. So it doesn't matter which region you are in.
No.
Okay.
The money is given to you.
Okay, so
we give you the money and then make sure we monitor you do the project at any location.
So it does. It means that you don't have like a certain, like you have like 3-bedroom already there. No. You give you the money to start a project.
To start a project, and then we monitor it done. So let's say you're in your region, any region, because of how teachers are scattered everywhere. If like we know the person is coming from here, we just go and build it. But then it's not like that. So when you win, then you choose where you want your house to be built. So we monitor and then it's done. From there, we brand it nicely. Ghana's most outstanding teacher, 2022, 2021.
I see. Yeah.
Then the first runner-up also goes home with a 4x4 pickup.
Ah, nice. So what happens if the teacher can't drive?
That one, we don't care. I'll give you your car. And make sure you don't sell it after 1 year.
Okay.
Because you're going to use it as a brand for us to advertise the program. And then the sponsors as well. So all the brand should be on the car, use it for a year. After a year, and you want to sell it, that's your problem. Yes,
okay.
But we give you a 4x4 pickup and it's worth 200,000 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Then, second runner-up also goes home with a saloon car. Worth 150,000 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Then from there, best teacher in leadership and administration also goes home with a saloon car.
Okay.
And then the best non-teaching staff, same as saloon car.
Okay.
Then the other categories, juicy amount of money, in fact.
Well, what is juicy?
They are going home with something big. They won't come the same way they came.
No, but what is juicy?
Don't worry.
You know, just give me a hint of juicy. You keep on saying juicy. Yeah, I want to, taste this juice.
You see, it's huge. It ranges from 20,000 thereabout. So immediately you are nominated, you are part of the top 50. Know that you won't come to Tamale and go to your village
empty-handed.
No, never.
Okay. That's
it has never happened.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So even if I come out number 15, at least I know that I'll go back home with something.
Sure.
Okay. Now let's talk about your sponsors. Who will be sponsoring you?
Okay, so far we have a lot of sponsors. We have the main sponsor for Ghana Teacher Prize is Get Fund.
Okay.
Get Fund, they are the #1 sponsor. And then we have a long-term package with GESOP, GES Occupational Pension Scheme. They are our main sponsors after Get Fund. And then we have Glyco Pensions. They are sponsoring the house.
Okay.
Yes. And Prudential Bank Limited is sponsoring the 4x4 pickup. In fact, we received it yesterday.
I see.
It's in our office now.
Can I come and test drive it to see?
Oh, you can. Why not?
Properly?
Why not? It's so nice and it's automatic. So
oh yeah,
some people can drive.
I have to check it for the teachers, so
you have no problem.
Test drive it.
You have no problem.
Okay,
Then we have Data Bank Limited. They're also giving us a saloon car. SIC Life is also giving us a saloon car.
Okay.
Then we have InvestCorp also giving us a saloon car. Then we have Petra Trust, UNICEF, UNESCO, Right to Play, NLA, National Lottery Authority.
Okay.
Then we have Global Institute of Resource Development Limited. We have ABE Ventures. We have IC Giving. We have our teacher unions. In fact, they are all our sponsors. We have NAT, NAGRAT, CCT, and then the almighty TU. They are all coming together to support this cause. And we have a certain gentleman who has always been a sponsor. AB Edu, he's BB Edu Consult.
Okay.
He's a service provider for National Teaching Council on the CPD program. And he had consistently sponsored our sash. I am doing this because it's a proper kente cloth that he uses.
I see.
And he's done this for some time now.
Yeah.
So he needs some recognition as well.
Okay. So would you like to mention his name again?
Please come again.
Would you like to mention his name again?
Yeah, he's BB Edu Consult.
BB Edu Consult. Thank you very much.
And our media partners as well.
And then we have our sole media partner, and that is Multimedia.
And we are grateful.
Okay.
Are grateful.
Any last words?
And we wish they will also come out with a package, or let's say one of the award, so that one day you come and give us an award. Name it after you, like multimedia Best Teacher Award in the category. We'll be happy.
Okay, well, think about it. But the best thing we can do is, provide the air for you guys to broadcast.
And we are grateful.
Yeah.
And the event is also going to be live on JoyNews.
Okay.
Yes, so on the 5th of October.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So any last words?
So we thank you for hosting us, and we're also grateful for the NTC for this Ghana Teacher Prize. And the government as well. You know that teachers, our issues are many.
Yeah.
So we sent some to them recently. They should make sure that they are head to our needs, because we don't want to repeat July issues again.
So you just mentioned something. You said you have many issues, and I'm thinking about your prizes. You're talking about a car, you're talking about a house, a 3-bedroom apartment, and money and all of those things. But I haven't heard anything that will make it a prize that will make it favorable for like the teaching conditions.
There's something I forgot.
Yeah.
We have a package for the awardees where they are even going to have scholarships.
Okay.
So all the 15 nominees, Get Fund is giving them a scholarship to move to the next level.
Okay.
Then apart from that, the top for each category is going to have a 3-week training in Dubai.
Okay.
Sponsored by GED.
Okay.
And so it's a whole thing. We're also looking at their professional development as well.
Okay.
And Genius is also sponsoring a particular category of the awards, the best KG teacher, where they give them a lot of teaching materials. And everything.
Yeah.
Yes. And then apart from that, you're also given a scholarship by Genius to have a year training at the nursery level, the early grade level. So we're also looking at the teachers' professional development, not only the physical cash,
but also the working conditions.
You see, as for NTC, they are not into the working conditions.
Okay.
The GES and the Ministry of Education, they are in charge of the working conditions.
Okay.
And they have a lot to do to improve this working condition for teachers, especially our class size, still uncompleted buildings in most of the schools. Enlarged populated classrooms, and even as we speak, schools we open about 3 weeks now.
Okay.
Commutation grants are not in. You see, so things are not very, very good for us in the classroom.
Yeah.
Some of these NTC programs help to motivate few of us, but the major problem is not NTC, it's about government, Ministry of Education and GS. They have to sit up and make sure that actually the classroom is better for teachers to work in.
Okay, so government, Ministry of Education needs to sit up, overpopulated classrooms, uncompleted buildings. What else is on the list?
See, the serious one is now about this secondary school, that some teachers do not have vacation. You see this red and gold issue. Some will go.
The double track.
Some will come. So some teachers are in the school throughout the year. No vacation, no rest period. So we are just pleading with them that they should make sure they complete most of the buildings in the school so that we do away with this double track. Because it's not helping us at all.
Yeah. And obviously, if a teacher hasn't gone on holiday or on vacation, it's obviously going to affect their teaching. Yeah. Okay. Dennis, any last words?
Yeah, I think I don't want to speak for government, but just like my teachers are showing concern, I'm sure the government is also doing well to address most of these issues. It can't be done at a go, but gradually this particular government is also doing well. I just want to use the opportunity to mention things so that I'm not tagged. I don't want to go there.
Thank you.
Yes. So, but I want to tell the general public that this year's Teachers' Day, it's something that we want everybody to do a buy-in. So we are launching a hashtag today on the other social media platforms, that is Who is Your Teacher, where you post your favorite teacher way back in school, say something good about the teacher, and through that we can all use it as a form of promoting the program. So that is what we are looking at. So today, by close of day, we are going to launch Who is Your Teacher.
Who is your teacher? Who is your teacher?
My best teacher is Madam. What's the name? What's the full name?
Hey.
I remember Konedu, but they said the first name is missing. Yeah.
And what did she teach you?
She was my Ghanaian language teacher at Boka State College.
Okay.
And in fact, I will say I am here today because she did something that I will never forget. She's Ernestina Konedu. Madam Ernestina Konedu.
Okay.
Yes, and I really remember everything that she did for me.
What about you? Who is your teacher?
Charity Anyomi.
Okay.
She's dead now.
Okay.
But she helped me very well when I was in primary school. And she, I would say, that made me who I am today.
I see. Who is my teacher? I don't know.
You should tell us.
I don't.
No cheating.
Oh no, I think my theater studies teacher.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm here because of, actually like it's like 4 of them. I'm here because of them. Yeah, they've really built my confidence and all of that, and this is why I, have so much fun doing this.
Sure.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And in studio, Renee Senyo Kwame-Koko, who's the Deputy General Secretary of the NAGRET, and Dennis Osei Owusu, who is the PRO of the National Teaching Council. Now, how about treating your family to a summer holiday in Come journey to South Africa for a good time in our beautiful country. Get to know the locals and our languages. If you're looking to let your hair down and relax, or you're just in the mood for some fun, family-friendly adventures, South Africa has got everything you need. This summer, wazanila and experience a holiday worth talking about. You're still watching The AM Show. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the AM Show. Benjamin, it's us again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And now we're going to get interactive with the rest of the people out there, find out what they have to say. So I think one of the interesting things I'd like to hear from them on is what happened at the Global Citizens Festival.
Okay.
We started the show on that note.
So we might as well hear what they have to say.
What is your take? Do you feel it was justified? Do you feel it was unjustified? We've also had a lot to talk about the Ghanaian teacher and reward systems for them.
I was about to ask you, who's your best teacher? So they're starting a hashtag, who is your teacher? So who's your best teacher?
I don't think I would have one.
Okay.
There are a number of them, and it would span across my elementary education through to, so it would be really difficult. But one that comes to mind, how could I forget his name? He taught me Spanish. He's Dr. I'll just try to get the name.
Okay,
Amazing. I mean, I think he's been knighted by Spanish royalty way back.
Okay.
I'll just get the name, but fantastic by all standards. Go to the Spanish department, University of Ghana, and everyone knows him. But we have our usual
caller, Abendao. Good morning, calling from Kumasi.
Abendao, how do you do it? What's your secret? How are you able to be the first caller, like back to back like that?
You want me to expose my secret so that my colleagues will call so that I don't get access? I'll not use my secret.
Yo, go ahead.
Anyway, how are you doing? But my picture, and the main country, why my picture, and the main country, why?
Mekatra say a Brofu station. So, country, okay. Pacho Medase.
Oh yeah, I'm also a teacher, so I want to say something on the Teachers Award that is coming off. Yeah, I think that it's a good award, but I think that they should also come out with arrangements or a policy that teachers can be able to access or acquire cars or motorcycles so that at least our transportation can be easy. So with that arrangement, the teacher unions or the government can pay part of it so that at least it will be on a subsidy so that teachers too, we can acquire some of these machines so that we can be able to do our work well with dignity. Thank you.
Abendao, so you're talking of loan arrangements which would be guaranteed, for example, by government, and then loan facilities. That's what you mean?
Yes, loan facilities that we can use to acquire these vehicles.
I get it.
Which kind of makes
And subsequently, maybe, so, you know, this is a person paid by government. The person is on the public purse. So maybe if the person is earning 2,500 cedis, maybe 400, 500, 600 cedis, out of that, the person would have to sign documents in agreement. And then every month, those deductions are made over a period of years, the person. So I guess that's what
for the car, yeah. Well, the number to dial is 030-2211-691, 030-2211-692. Share your thoughts with us on what we've discussed so far.
But you followed the conversation on customs as well, and smuggler's paradise and everything. Any reactions? When we had the customs officers here, they are trying their best, to be fair, but like Mr. Avala said, their best may maybe not
be the best
enough.
Yeah. You know, the thing is, about, like, what happens, we produce a documentary, and for the first month, you'll have the officials and the security will be tightened. And after a month, they're back to square one.
So you're one of those who think that, look, it's just knee-jerk reaction as usual, and then we fall asleep again.
So we need a continuous security arrangement, not just now because we've produced some sort of documentary, and then you're like, okay, no, but our security is tight, this and this is tight, but then it's not really, But let's hear from you guys. What do you have to say? Also, part 2 will be broadcasting today at 6:30 p.m. here on this channel, so you don't want to miss it. Smuggler's Paradise.
We have just a few more minutes to go. You can share your thoughts with us. 0302-211-691 extension 2. But he also engaged the GMET, the Ghana Meteorological Agency, and some interesting dynamics that the Meteor was sharing with us in terms of more rains to be expected in the coming weeks and different parts of the country going to be affected. For me, yesterday's flooding, so to speak, took me by surprise. Maybe I shouldn't have been so surprised, but I didn't think, it didn't rain for that long. So I felt, in some instances, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. When I got a call from someone in East Legon that it had been raining a lot there, I was heading towards cantonments into Osu. It hadn't even started raining.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
You know. But we have another caller, Max.
Daniel, good morning.
Morning, please. Please, how are you?
We're good. How are you?
We're well.
Yeah. Okay. Please, I want to say something about economy. How government is not helpful. I want to ask, this government hasn't got this tool to even increase salaries and maybe create new jobs. Because if we don't have the foreign money, so our cities too we don't have. Because we all what we need is the cities. At least if we have enough cities, we can even invest in resources and get some for export and get the foreign. So if we are not seeing things, can't we have the cities to cushion the economy? Yeah, I don't know what is good. This IMF thing is wrong. And we are still not seeing things right. Why not rely on our cities? Maybe some small foreign exchange. Because I don't think if America wants to cushion the economy, they will come for cities. Let's cherish our money. Bring more cities and put it into the economy. Invest in resources. Maybe you have to be good at taxation and some few measures. But what are you doing at IMF? Anytime low. I'm asking, don't we have cities to create more jobs and increase salary?
So let me just
what I want.
Let me just give you a quick reaction. I understand your point. You're probably thinking, if it's dollars, our economy shouldn't be dollarized in the first place. So why not just print more of our local currency and stem the loopholes or plug them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not that simple economically. You can't just go printing. Hold on.
To create inflation, how? So are we not in inflation?
There are regulations. There are regulations. Okay, you asked the question. Can I answer the question, or do you have your answers yourself? All right. So the point is, according to banking regulations, fiscal regulations across the world, you can't just go printing currency anytime. Even the American Reserve, they don't just print currency because it comes with inflationary dynamics. It comes with so many other dynamics. So you don't just go printing currency. That is why in Parliament you would notice that when it was said that some amount of money had been printed into the system for government to use for XYZ, it became an issue in Parliament. You get it. So you can't just say, and there are even dynamics in terms of printing
why
the currency.
Can't we print more?
It
can
is
you
not.
Give me more light on it? Why can't we print more to satisfy us?
Okay, I think you've made up your mind. So maybe you would want to suggest to the central bank to do that. Maybe they would give you better answers in terms of what the dynamics are. I'm telling you that it's not that simple. There are international regulations, and every country has its own regulations. You have a cap. The central bank has a cap in terms of how much it will print, in terms of how much it will loan to government and all of that. So you can't solve your economic problems by just printing more money. It will lead to a lot more inflation, and it will create a more adverse effect than you want on the currency. That's the simple explanation I can give you. Anyway,
Daniel, thank you.
But that's a valid point he makes. I'm sure there are people who will be thinking, why not just print more currency? And that's not how it works. If it were, no country would be going to the IMF.
Exactly, we just print our own money. Well, that's how we end the AM show. It's been a fantastic show, Benjamin.
It's always good.
It's always good doing this with you.
Not so good waking up at the time of morning we have to wake up, and sometimes your bones are just, they refuse to
wake up. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this for. Waking up at dawn is not easy at all.
But anyway, we do this for God and country.
Thanks for watching. I'm Benjamin Akakpo.
And I am Mapito Sibidi. It's been good having you. Have a lovely day. Up next, JoyNews Desk.